There is something about the human experience that refuses to be fully explained by logic or science alone. You can sense it in moments when you know something before it happens, when your instincts seem smarter than your intellect, or when you change your focus and suddenly everything around you shifts. These aren't accidents. They're glimpses of a power that lies just below your waking mind. Subtle, silent, and infinitely potent. Today, we're not talking about motivation, productivity hacks, or surface-level mindset tips. We're going far deeper. We're going to expose the hidden intelligence that governs 95% of your thoughts, choices, and reality itself. It's not mystical. It's not even mysterious. But it is misunderstood. This is your subconscious mind, your most loyal servant, and, paradoxically, your most powerful master. The idea that your subconscious creates your reality isn't a poetic metaphor. It's backed by neuroscience, psychology, quantum theory, and experiential truth from some of the most advanced thinkers across time. But here's the problem. Most people go their entire lives without ever learning how to access or influence it. They don't know how it works. And so, they assume they are thinking freely, while unknowingly repeating patterns that were imprinted on them decades ago. But the game changes when you understand one thing. Your subconscious does not follow your conscious desires. It follows your internal programming. And unless you change that programming, your outer world will always echo your past, never your potential. So in this series, we're doing something radical. We're showing you how to make the subconscious visible. We're peeling back the layers of habit, conditioning, and assumptions to reveal the mechanism behind manifestation, synchronicity, emotional energy, and more. From quantum perception to thought forms, emotional frequencies to brainwave states, you'll get a map to the inner frontier most never explore. In this video specifically, we're starting with the doorway, the threshold between who you think you are and what you truly are. We'll walk straight through the hidden entrance of awareness and examine what exists beyond thought, beyond identity, and beyond language. Because until you know what the subconscious is and how it operates, you can't reshape your reality, you'll only rearrange the surface. So get ready for a mental shift. Not just new ideas, but new dimensions of thinking. By the end of this, you'll start to see yourself not as a product of the world, but as the code behind the world you experience. Let's begin. You think you're in control, that you choose your thoughts, make your decisions, and guide your life with intention. But here's a startling truth. Up to 95% of your behaviors and reactions are automatic. That means you're not consciously living most of your life, you're being run by something quiet, something powerful, something you rarely question. This isn't science fiction. It's neuroscience. And it begins the moment you're born. As a child, your brain operates predominantly in delta and theta brainwave states. These are the same states that adults only enter during deep hypnosis or deep sleep. Why does that matter? Because during these states, your brain isn't analyzing or filtering information. It's absorbing it raw without question. Every word you heard, every emotional reaction around you, every belief you witnessed, it all went straight into your subconscious, forming a blueprint. Not for your childhood, but for your life. That blueprint doesn't just sit there. It becomes the filter through which you interpret every experience. It determines how you see yourself, what you expect from others, how you handle money, love, risk, failure. It even colors what your nervous system defines as safe or dangerous. And because it's unconscious, you don't notice it. You just call it normal. This is the door most people never open, the door beneath awareness. But here's where things get fascinating. Your subconscious isn't just a vault of old programming. It's interactive. It's constantly responding to your emotional state, your beliefs, and your environment in real time. It's not passive. It's active. That's why your reality often reflects not what you say you want, but what you deeply expect. You might say, I want abundance. But if your subconscious still carries the blueprint of scarcity, your reality won't shift. You might affirm, I am worthy of love. But if your internal wiring associates love with pain or abandonment, you'll unconsciously repel or sabotage connection. This is not failure. It's feedback. The subconscious is always showing you what's inside you. It speaks through patterns, recurring challenges, triggers, emotions that don't make sense on the surface. It's trying to get your attention. But instead of listening, most people numb it, distract from it, or override it with more affirmations, more willpower, more hustle. None of that works until the subconscious is aligned. So let's get clear. The subconscious is not mystical. It is biological, emotional, and energetic. It holds everything your conscious mind couldn't process, everything it suppressed, and everything it normalized. And it follows 3 primary rules. 1. It responds to emotion, not logic. You can't reason your way into a new reality. You must feel it into being. Emotion creates a chemical signature that the subconscious reads as truth. 2. It hates conflict between belief and experience. If you experience something that contradicts your internal beliefs, your subconscious won't adapt. It will reject or distort the experience to protect the old pattern. 3. It can't tell the difference between what's real and what's vividly imagined. This is the real key to change. Through repetition and feeling, you can input new ideas as if they're already true. This is how you override the old code. This is the door beneath awareness. And once you understand how it works, you stop fighting your mind and start reprogramming your reality from the inside out. But there's another layer, one most people miss entirely. The subconscious is not only the recorder of your past, it's the transmitter of your frequency. Your dominant beliefs, emotions, and expectations are not hidden. They're broadcast energetically. And through this energetic output, you begin to attract, influence, and shape the quantum field around you. This isn't spiritual theory. It's measurable. Your heart emits an electromagnetic field. Your brain produces a frequency signature. And together, these fields interface with the environment in ways that go far beyond the 5 senses. So when you think you're unlucky, you often become a magnet for chaos. When you feel unworthy, you unconsciously repel opportunities. When you internalize joy, gratitude, and expansion, your field harmonizes with higher potentials. It's not magic. It's mechanics. You are not separate from the world you experience. Your subconscious isn't just receiving reality. It's helping to generate it. So the real question becomes, what are you broadcasting? What beliefs are quietly looping beneath your conscious mind? What assumptions have gone unquestioned for years? What emotional states have become so familiar, you've confused them for truth? These are not small questions. They are foundational, because the moment you identify the patterns running in the background, you can rewrite them. The key is awareness. You have to become the observer of your own operating system, not with judgment, but with precision, with presence, because awareness begins to melt the glue of old programs. It's the first step to choice. And where choice exists, change is inevitable. You're not broken. You're not blocked. You're running a script that was installed without your permission. But now you have the password, and the door is open. Can your thoughts actually bend reality like the rules of a quantum game? There's a strange fact hiding in plain sight. Most of what we call reality is empty space. Your body, your phone, the air around you, over 99.9999% of it is nothing. And yet, somehow, you experience it as solid, stable, and predictable. You touch a table and it doesn't disappear. You drop a pen and it falls. Reality feels structured, logical. But that's not what quantum physics says. Quantum physics says that, at the most fundamental level, the universe doesn't behave. It doesn't act like a machine. It behaves more like a question looking for an answer. And the answer seems to depend on you. Let's break this open. At the quantum level, particles don't exist in one fixed state. They exist in a range of possibilities. It's only when they're observed, when someone measures them, that they appear in a definite place. This is called the observer effect, and it breaks everything we thought we knew about the line between mind and matter. Here's the implication. The act of looking doesn't just reveal reality, it shapes it. This is not philosophy. This is tested, replicated science. In the famous double-slit experiment, Light acts like a wave or a particle depending on whether or not it's being observed. The presence of a conscious observer determines the behavior of energy. Let that settle in. If observation changes matter, then what is thought? What is focused attention? What is belief? You begin to see the outline of something profound. Consciousness isn't just experiencing the universe. It might be participating in its formation. And that turns the way you've been taught to see life upside down. Here's what that means in real, practical terms. The way you focus your attention is not neutral. Your thoughts are not passing clouds. They are fields. Every time you focus, you influence probability. Not in some mystical sense, but by activating outcomes that match the frequency of your awareness. This brings us to a radical idea, that your internal state may be more fundamental than your external conditions. And when the two are out of alignment, reality begins to feel chaotic, fragmented, or stuck. For example, if you're focusing on lack, whether money, love, or opportunity, you're unconsciously tuning your internal frequency to patterns of absence. Your body responds by releasing stress hormones. Your brain narrows its perception. You see fewer options, miss synchronicities, and reinforce the illusion that you're stuck. All because of focus. Meanwhile, someone else could be in the same situation, but with a radically different inner state, one of gratitude, creativity, or openness. Their frequency shifts. Their nervous system responds. Their brain becomes more attuned to novelty, and they spot the solution you walked right past. Reality didn't change. The observer did. This is why we need to stop treating thoughts like background noise. They're signals. They interact with the field around you. And the subconscious, because it controls your baseline thoughts and emotional tone, is constantly sending signals whether you're aware of it or not. Now let's connect this to something even deeper. Superposition. In quantum mechanics, superposition means that particles can exist in multiple potential states simultaneously. They only collapse into a single state when observed. Now expand that concept. Your life right now contains infinite potential versions of you. Different futures, different outcomes. But the version you experience is the one your subconscious is aligned with. If your subconscious is carrying fear, shame, or self-doubt, it locks you into timelines that mirror those emotions. If it's programmed with confidence, clarity, and purpose, it locks you into very different ones. You're not manifesting your future, you're selecting it. Like a quantum radio, your subconscious tunes into one possible version of your life at a time. So when people say, change your thoughts, change your life, it's not just self-help. It's quantum alignment. But here's the catch. The conscious mind can't fake it. You can't positive think your way out of deep, unresolved subconscious signals. The field responds to your dominant frequency, not your wishes. That's why your subconscious is the key. It broadcasts your true signal, and until you change it, you keep collapsing the same version of reality over and over again. But you can change it, because quantum potential isn't locked. It's dynamic. It updates with you. Every new belief, every shift in focus, every moment of awareness sends a new signal into the field. Think of your mind as the measurement device. Your emotions are the magnetic signature. Your beliefs are the filter that tells reality how to organize itself. This is how so-called miracles happen. They're not violations of the rules. They're demonstrations of deeper rules. People who experience rapid shifts in health, opportunity, or perception aren't lucky. They're tuned. Their subconscious and their intention are speaking the same language. That's when the field starts to respond in ways that appear extraordinary. Here's the deeper mystery. Reality is not made of things. It's made of interactions, possibilities, probability fields waiting for a signal. And you are that signal. Or more precisely, your subconscious is. You are not at the mercy of reality. You are participating in it. But participation without awareness is chaos. It's living in random collapse, dictated by old beliefs and unconscious focus. Awareness is the switch. When you become aware of how your thoughts are shaping probability, when you observe your own inner landscape with clarity, when you shift your dominant state from fear to coherence, everything begins to reorganize around that signal. Not overnight, Not magically, but mechanically, consistently. It starts with one realization. Your reality is not fixed. It is not solid. It is not bound by your past. It is responsive. And the part of you that communicates with it most directly is the one you've barely met, your subconscious. The quantum field is listening. The question is, what are you actually saying? Are you using your mind, or is it using you? Every day, you wake up and assume the role of you. You remember your name, your story, your responsibilities. You carry yesterday's thoughts into today and believe that stability. But have you ever stopped to ask, who's running the show? Is it your conscious decisions, your disciplined willpower, or is it something far more primal, far more silent, and far more stubborn? This is where things get serious, because understanding the difference between your brain and your mind is not just academic, it's personal. It affects every result in your life, every habit you try to change, every breakthrough you can't seem to reach. And until you know who's really steering the wheel, you're not in control, you're just reacting. First, let's get something clear. The brain and the mind are not the same. The brain is a physical organ, a structure. It's the hardware. But the mind, that's software. It's your perception, awareness, memory, identity. It has no weight, no shape, and it extends beyond the skull. Yet here's where the illusion starts. The brain constantly influences the mind, and the mind reprograms the brain. It's a loop, but unless you become conscious within that loop, the brain becomes dominant. And the brain isn't interested in your goals. It's interested in survival. That means it favors the familiar over the fulfilling. It chooses repetition over risk. It would rather keep you small than take you into the unknown. And it's not malicious. It's mechanical. Your brain's default operating system was forged thousands of years ago when your primary threat was a predator or a natural disaster. Fast forward to today, and that same system still fires when you check your bank account, read an uncomfortable email, or hear a disapproving tone in someone's voice. This is called neuroception, the process of your nervous system scanning for threats before your conscious mind even gets involved. So here's the twist. By the time you think a thought, your body has already reacted. The chemical cocktail of stress, fear, or excitement has already been released. Your breath has changed, your heartbeat has shifted, and you believe you're thinking clearly, when in fact you're just narrating your nervous system's reaction. This is the real trap. You think you're in charge, but your biology is hijacking your consciousness. And the part of you that's still driving, even while you sleep, even while you decide, is your subconscious mind, tightly interwoven with your brain's oldest functions. This is why change feels hard. Not because it's difficult in theory, but because your brain resists unfamiliarity. It associates new with unsafe. So every time you attempt to rewrite a habit or install a belief, your subconscious evaluates it through the brain's fear-based lens. And if that new belief contradicts your identity, even if it's better for you, it's rejected. You say, I want to be wealthy, but your brain has no evidence for that version of you. So it throws up doubt, resistance, or distraction. Not because you're lazy, but because your mind is out of sync with your brain's programming. So how do you change the equation? You have to become the observer of the system, not just a character inside it. This means 3 things. 1. You need to understand your mental triggers. Triggers are not weaknesses. They're messengers. They show you where your brain is looping into a survival pattern. Once you become aware of them without judging them, they start to loosen their grip. The brain loses its automatic power when exposed to conscious awareness. 2. You must train the body to feel safe in the unfamiliar. You can't outthink your nervous system. You have to teach it. This means using breath, somatic awareness, and repetition to link safety to new beliefs. That's how you rewire the emotional associations your brain has with change. 3. You must shift from identity-based thinking to awareness-based thinking. Most people are unconsciously loyal to their current identity. They don't even realize they've fused their personality with their past. So even if their mind imagines a better version of life, their identity rejects it as fake. But awareness-based thinking steps outside that. Says, I am not my thoughts. I am not my habits. I am not even my history. I am the awareness that can choose to program something new. Once you reach this awareness, something remarkable happens. You begin to separate signal from noise. You stop reacting. You start responding. Your brain stops barking instructions, and your mind starts issuing commands. You become the programmer, not just the program. But there's another level here, one most people never realize. Your brain doesn't just record your beliefs. It changes its physical structure based on them. This is called neuroplasticity. It means your brain literally reshapes its wiring to match what you consistently think and feel. So if your beliefs about self-worth are distorted, your brain forms a network of neurons that reinforce that distortion. And every time you replay those beliefs, you strengthen the pathway. That becomes your default circuit, your automatic behavior, your loop. But the reverse is just as true. When you consistently reinforce a new pattern, something as simple as I am calm or I always find solutions, you begin to light up new circuits, new pathways, and if you repeat them long enough, they become your new baseline. This is not positive thinking. This is mechanical restructuring of your consciousness. It's using the power of your mind to rebuild the framework of your brain. But that requires one essential shift. You must choose awareness over automation. You must learn to pause before you respond, to notice your patterns without fusing with them, to see your thoughts not as truth, but as possibilities. Because once you're in that space of awareness, you're free. Free to rewire, free to re-choose, free to reimagine who you are. This isn't theory, it's practice. And it starts now. Look at your life. Look at your routines, your thoughts, your emotional habits. Not with guilt, with clarity. Ask yourself, is this me, or is this the system running me? And if it's the system, then know this, you have the authority to rewrite it. The mind is not bound by the past. The brain is not your prison. The subconscious is not your enemy. They are tools. But only when you become conscious enough to pick them up and use them. Because when the mind leads the brain, not the other way around, your world changes. And so does your future. You're living 95% of your life on autopilot. Who's flying the plane? You wake up in the morning, and before you even think, you grab your phone. You check the same apps. You scroll the same feeds. You get out of bed the same way. You think the same stream of thoughts you thought yesterday. And if something disrupts that rhythm, you feel it instantly. That's not just habit. That's a signal. You're not running your life. A deeper program is. This is the subconscious mind, not a mystery, not a myth, but a real, functional part of your psychological operating system. And while you may credit your conscious mind for your actions and decisions, the truth is your subconscious is responsible for the vast majority of your behavior. So let's break this down. The subconscious mind is not located in one place in your brain. It's a system. It's the storage center for all your memories, beliefs, experiences, and emotional responses. Especially the ones that have become so familiar, you don't even recognize them as learned. That moment in childhood when someone laughed at your voice and you stopped speaking freely, that's stored. The time you failed a test and your body memorized the shame of it, stored. The patterns you observed in love, money, danger, trust, worth, all filed away. But your subconscious isn't just a database. It's a decision maker. When you walk into a room, your conscious mind might scan the decor, but your subconscious is scanning for safety. When you talk to a new person, your conscious mind listens to their words, but your subconscious is measuring tone, body language, energy. And the kicker? It reacts instantly, faster than thought, before you can even make sense of what's happening. This is what makes it so powerful and so tricky, because most people never pause to examine those instant responses. They don't question their discomfort, their resistance, or their emotional reactions. They assume it's just who they are. But it's not. It's who they were programmed to be. And programming happens early. Between birth and about age 7, your brain is operating in a theta-dominant state. That's the same brainwave pattern you'd enter under hypnosis. Which means, for the first several years of your life, you weren't reasoning, you were absorbing. Everything around you became truth, whether it was healthy or not. You're too loud. Money doesn't grow on trees. People leave. Work hard and don't expect too much. None of these were filtered. They were internalized. And now, decades later, you might find yourself repeating the very patterns you swore you'd avoid. Because they're not conscious choices. They're subconscious loops. Here's where it gets even more real. Your subconscious doesn't understand language the way your conscious mind does. It speaks in images, emotions, repetition, and energy. That's why affirmations alone often fall flat. You can say, "I am confident 100 times a day," but if your body is still carrying the emotion of insecurity, your subconscious doesn't believe you. Belief isn't in the words. It's in the feeling. So if you want to influence the subconscious, you have to speak its language. That means visualizing with clarity, feeling with intensity, and repeating with consistency. Only then does the subconscious begin to accept new commands as real. And once it does, it starts reshaping everything. Your habits shift. Your decisions feel easier. Opportunities that once felt out of reach begin to appear naturally, because you're no longer fighting against your internal code. But the subconscious does more than just control habits. It also influences your reality filter. You don't experience reality directly. You experience what your brain lets in. Every second, millions of bits of data are coming at you, but your conscious mind can only process a tiny fraction. So how does it decide what to focus on? It defers to the subconscious. The subconscious is your filter. If it's programmed to expect disappointment, it highlights evidence of that. If it's trained to anticipate rejection, it zeroes in on every slight. But if it's wired for confidence, worthiness, and abundance, it amplifies those too. This is not wishful thinking. It's selective perception. Your subconscious determines what you notice, what you ignore, and what you expect. And those expectations shape the very fabric of your reality. Here's a clear example. Have you ever decided to buy a new car, and suddenly you start seeing that exact model everywhere? The cars were always there. Your brain just wasn't filtering for them until your subconscious marked it as relevant. That's how powerful this filter is. Now apply that to your self-image. If your subconscious believes you're not good enough, not smart enough, not safe, it won't show you opportunities that contradict those beliefs. Not because they don't exist, but because they're outside your reality filter. So how do you change this? You begin by noticing the autopilot. Awareness is the first tool. Watch your routines. Observe your reactions. Listen to your internal monologue. Don't try to fix it yet. Just see it. Shine a light on it. Because once you become the witness, you create space between stimulus and response. And in that space, choice lives. Then, start identifying your dominant patterns. Ask, what beliefs do I carry about success? What do I expect from love? What emotional states feel the most familiar, even if I don't like them? These questions are not casual. They're diagnostic. They help you trace your programming back to its root. And once you've identified it, you can interrupt it. This is where conscious reprogramming begins. Through tools like deep visualization, guided inner dialogue, emotional rehearsal, and breathwork, you can begin installing new beliefs directly into the subconscious. Not as fantasies, but as rehearsals for new neural circuits. And this isn't just mental. Your body must feel it. Because when your body starts believing it's already that version of you, calm, successful, connected, the subconscious starts updating your emotional GPS. And your reality starts following suit. This process is not a one-time switch. It's repetition. It's consistency. But it works. You can't force the subconscious. You train it. You retrain it. And once it shifts, the plane flies itself in a new direction. Your autopilot becomes your ally. And the most important part? You stop repeating your past. Because you're no longer driven by who you were told to be. You're guided by who you choose to become. The silent engine has power. And now you have the keys. Is just looking enough to alter the universe around you? Your attention is not passive. It's not neutral. It's not just mental spotlighting. The moment you focus on something internally or externally, you influence it. Not just in theory, in structure, in energy, in behavior. This is the paradox of perception. You believe you're watching the world, but the act of watching changes what you see. Welcome to one of the most mind-bending truths in quantum physics, and one of the most misunderstood powers you possess. Let's start with the experiment that shattered scientific certainty. In the early 20th century, physicists designed a test known as the double-slit experiment. They shot particles like electrons or photons toward a barrier with two slits. On the other side of the barrier was a screen to detect impact patterns. Now, when they ran the experiment without observing the path of the particles, something astonishing happened. The particles behaved like waves. They didn't just go through one slit or the other, they created an interference pattern, as if they were going through both slits simultaneously. But when researchers installed detectors to watch which slit the particle went through, the pattern collapsed. The particles no longer acted like waves, they acted like solid objects. The mere act of observation changed the outcome. This is not speculation. It has been repeated, verified, and remains one of the most foundational findings in modern physics. The lesson: observation alters behavior. Now step back and apply this to your life. When you observe a thought, it becomes conscious. When you observe a habit, you weaken its unconscious control. When you pay attention to an emotional pattern, it loses its grip. Your attention is not awareness of energy, it is energy. Let's go deeper. Every day, you're directing this energy, your attention, without realizing it. You focus on a problem and it expands. You worry about worst-case scenarios and they multiply. You revisit old trauma, and it reactivates emotionally as if it's happening now. Not because you're broken, but because attention is creative. It's formative. This isn't just spiritual metaphor. It's biological reality. When you think about a memory, your brain reactivates the neural pathway associated with that event. It refires the emotional chemistry. And if you do this repeatedly, your brain begins to reinforce that memory as part of your default wiring. You strengthen the past in the present. That's the observer effect inside your nervous system. The same happens with visualization. When you focus on a future state with intensity and emotional engagement, your brain begins to install it as a real possibility. Primes your body to feel that outcome. Your subconscious starts accepting that new scenario, not as fantasy but as blueprint. This is the power behind manifestation, behind healing, behind intentional creation. It's not about wishing. It's about attention as programming. Now here's where most people go wrong. They focus unconsciously. They let their environment dictate their attention. They ruminate on stress. They consume news that floods their system with fear. They scroll endlessly through digital content that trains their mind to expect randomness and distraction. And then they wonder why they can't focus, why their life feels chaotic, or why they feel emotionally drained. It's not random. It's trained. Your attention is being hijacked. And every time you lose control of it, you give your creative power away. So what's the solution? Conscious observation. Deliberate focus. Training yourself to pay attention not just to what's urgent, but to what's real. To what supports your desired identity, your chosen belief systems, and your inner coherence. This is a discipline, but it's also the key to quantum change. Because once you realize that observing a thought activates it, that giving energy to a fear feeds it, that shining awareness on a pattern begins to dissolve it, you begin to use attention like a scalpel, not a spotlight. You cut through noise. You choose what to activate. You decide what version of reality your subconscious should amplify. This is not positive thinking. This is precision thinking. So let's make this practical. Start asking yourself, where is my attention right now? Is this focus energizing me or draining me? Is this thought aligning me with my chosen future or reinforcing an old one? Am I observing my life, or am I reacting to it blindly? These questions are not soft introspection. They are recalibration tools. Because the minute you become conscious of where your attention is, you reclaim control of what you're creating. This applies to relationships, health, money, purpose, everything. If you constantly focus on lack, conflict, or uncertainty, you activate neural pathways that reinforce those experiences. But when you shift your attention to possibility, to evidence of growth, to signals of alignment, you begin collapsing the quantum wave function into outcomes that match your awareness. You change the field not by force but by focus. Here's another level. Attention is magnetic. It doesn't just affect your mind. It alters your energy signature. And people, situations, and opportunities respond to that signal. Not consciously, energetically. So when you train your attention toward coherence, meaning internal harmony between thought, emotion, and desire, you emit a frequency that organizes your external world in surprising ways. People call it flow, synchronicity, or even luck. But it's not luck. It's alignment, and it starts with how you observe. So be ruthless about your focus. Treat your attention like currency because it is. What you spend it on grows. What you ignore fades. And what you choose to observe consistently becomes your lived experience. Reality is not fixed. It is fluid, responsive, malleable. You are not a passive participant. You are an observer, and your observation writes code into the fabric of what you call life. So the question is no longer, what is happening to me? The question is, what am I energizing with my attention? Because that's the version of reality you're choosing to make real. Every feeling you have might be birthing a new timeline. Are you aware of it? You experience an emotion. Maybe it's fear. Maybe it's desire. Maybe it's love, anger, or a flash of shame. You feel it, and then it passes. Or so it seems. But here's what most never consider. Your emotions don't just affect your mood. They carry a signature. They activate a field. And when they're repeated, intensified, and charged with belief, they begin to form something more enduring. Something with shape, with frequency, with influence. These are thought forms. And once you understand what they are, you'll start to see that your emotional state isn't just personal, it's generative. It's creating threads of experience that outlive the moment. Let's clarify the concept. A thought form is not just a fleeting idea. It's a sustained mental-emotional construct. It's born when a thought is combined with strong emotion and repeated with focus. The more intense the feeling, and the more belief attached to it, the more stable that form becomes within your energetic field. You've experienced this already, even if you didn't call it by that name. Think of a time you held a grudge. The person wasn't around. The situation was over. But that emotional imprint kept showing up, affecting your body, your thoughts, even your decisions. That was a thought form. It had a life of its own. Now, magnify that across years of unconscious emotional reactions. What's living in your field right now that you didn't intend to keep? This is where things get real. Your subconscious doesn't forget. And every emotionally charged belief you've carried about who you are, what the world is, what you can have, has likely been encoded as a thought form. Not just inside your mind, but in your body's energetic architecture. That form continues to operate, subtly influencing your choices, magnetizing certain outcomes, and rejecting others. This isn't woo. It's pattern recognition. Your nervous system responds to emotion. Your behavior patterns repeat based on subconscious templates. And your life becomes a feedback loop, showing you not what's true, but what your internal field is projecting. And the most influential components of that projection. Thought forms. Let's go further. Every strong emotional experience carries a frequency. Guilt, shame, and fear vibrate low, creating contraction, confusion, and reactive behavior. Joy, love, and purpose vibrate high, creating openness, clarity, and expansion. When you generate a thought form based on fear, it begins filtering reality to find matches. It activates your survival circuitry. It changes how you interpret tone, posture, silence. It makes you suspicious, cautious, defensive. And in turn, it creates results that validate your fear. You then say, "See? I knew this would happen," not realizing that your emotional field helped summon that version of reality into experience. But the same is true in reverse. When you generate thought forms of confidence, gratitude, or vision, your energy becomes magnetic in an entirely different way. Your physiology shifts. Your brain chemistry changes. Your subconscious begins to interpret challenges not as threats, but as signals of growth. You literally change your timeline. That's not poetic. That's structural. That's energetic. That's quantum. Because you don't just live in one reality. You exist across potential realities, and each one is activated or bypassed depending on the emotional signals you consistently produce. Here's where most people get stuck. They try to think their way into a better life, but their dominant emotional output is still anchored in the past. So they wonder why nothing changes. It's not because the technique is wrong. It's because their field is crowded with unprocessed thought forms. You cannot manifest a future of freedom while carrying the energetic residue of unworthiness. You can't select a new timeline while feeding an emotional imprint created by trauma, fear, or resentment. So what's the solution? Emotional accountability. This doesn't mean suppressing or controlling how you feel. It means recognizing the creative power behind every emotional state you embody. It means becoming conscious of which thought forms you're feeding and which ones you're starving. It starts with awareness. Begin noticing what emotional states feel most familiar. Which ones have become part of your identity? Where do your emotions loop without resolution? These loops aren't neutral. They're factories, and what they manufacture is more of themselves. This is why your healing isn't just about peace. It's about precision. Every time you release a heavy emotional pattern, you don't just feel better, you reclaim energy. You recover focus. You retune your subconscious to match a higher potential. You start broadcasting a new signal. And in doing so, you step onto a new branch of the quantum tree, a new version of reality, one that aligns with your upgraded state. But there's one more step. Once you've cleared the weight of old thought forms, you must begin to consciously create new ones. That means visualizing with feeling, rehearsing new emotions that match the outcomes you desire, feeling success before it's achieved, feeling connection before it arrives, feeling peace before anything changes externally. Because when you feel it, you seed it. When you repeat it, you grow it. And when you believe it, your subconscious begins to embody it. This is thought form engineering. It's not about faking emotions. It's about selecting states that reflect your chosen future, not your remembered past, and aligning your internal world so precisely that the external has no choice but to mirror it. You're not just thinking, you're sculpting, and what you sculpt becomes your signal. Your signal becomes your filter. Your filter becomes your behavior. Your behavior becomes your outcome. You don't need to predict the future. You need to produce the state that attracts it. Because every emotional imprint you activate is a vote for the reality you experience. So the real question becomes, what kind of reality are you emotionally voting for right now? And if it's not one you want to live in, then maybe it's time to create a new form and give it life. Is your current identity just a software patch uploaded in childhood? There's a system running your life that you didn't design. You didn't choose it. You didn't consciously approve it. And yet, it dictates how you respond to success, how you receive love, how you handle conflict, and how far you allow yourself to go. It's not fate. It's not personality. It's programming. Beneath your conscious desires, beneath your affirmations and plans, lives a hidden code, an operating system shaped by years of unfiltered experience, repetition, and emotional imprint. This code runs silently in the background, issuing instructions that feel like instinct, but are actually inherited scripts. Here's the truth. You were programmed before you had a say. From birth to early childhood, your brain was wide open, absorbing tone, energy, behavior, and belief without question. You were not interpreting experience, you were becoming it. If love was inconsistent, you may have coded connection as unsafe. If you were celebrated for achievement but ignored for effort, you may have coded worth as conditional. If chaos surrounded you, your system may now feel most familiar in stress. This is the origin of the subconscious code. And until it's brought to the surface, it keeps running you regardless of what you consciously want. Let's be clear. Programming isn't always dramatic or traumatic. Sometimes it's subtle. The offhand comment from a teacher that made you question your intelligence. The repeated looks of worry on your parents' faces when money was tight. The moment you failed once and decided, without words, this must not be for me. You didn't log these moments with thought. You logged them with feeling. And your subconscious, always looking to simplify and protect, grouped those feelings into rules. Rules like, Don't speak unless you're sure. People leave. Money means pressure. I'm too much. I'm not enough. These rules became your personal operating system. Not consciously, but functionally. And here's the kicker. They're still active. Not because they're true, but because your subconscious doesn't delete what it can't replace. It only lets go of code when a stronger, more coherent signal comes in, when a new pattern is not just learned, but felt, practiced, and emotionally rehearsed until it overrides the old one. Until then, you live in a world filtered by obsolete instructions. That's why change often feels like sabotage. You start building momentum, and then something inside slams the brakes. You reach for a new relationship, and suddenly you feel exposed or uncertain. You aim for financial growth, and guilt, anxiety, or imposter syndrome rush in. It's not failure. It's conflict between conscious desire and unconscious programming. And here's the secret most don't tell you. You will never outperform your subconscious identity. Not for long. Because when the inner code doesn't match the outer goals, the system corrects itself. Not toward progress, but toward familiarity. Your subconscious favors comfort over evolution. Even if that comfort includes dysfunction. Even if that familiarity includes suffering. So the question becomes, whose code are you living by? Is it yours? Or is it your parents'? Is it your true selves? Or your wounded selves? Is it current? Or is it outdated? Because the person you see in the mirror, the way you speak, move, carry yourself, expect things, it's all based on a blueprint created before you had context. But now you have context, and with that comes power. So how do you identify the code? You start by tracing your patterns. Ask yourself, what outcomes do I keep recreating? Where do I sabotage, hesitate, or shrink back? What beliefs feel normal, even though they keep me stuck? What assumptions do I have about people, the world, or myself that go unchallenged? Don't just look at results. Look at reactions, emotional flashpoints, persistent resistance, recurring narratives. They are clues, not flaws. They lead you to the lines of code still running. And once you see them, you interrupt them. You disrupt the automatic loop. You slow it down. You stop feeding it emotional fuel. That's when it begins to dissolve. But awareness alone isn't enough. You must install new instructions. This is not just mindset work. This is neurological reprogramming. You must give your subconscious a new experience to process, not just intellectually but emotionally. That means visualizing a new self-concept daily, rehearsing the emotions of worth, safety, success, speaking new identity statements with presence and precision, anchoring those beliefs into the body through breath, posture, and daily rituals. Why does this matter? Because the subconscious believes what it feels, not what it's told. You can say, I am confident all day, but if your body is curled, your breath is shallow, and your thoughts are circling fear, you're reinforcing the old code. But when you speak confidence while standing tall, breathing deep, and generating the emotion as if it's already real, your subconscious listens. This is how new programs are written. Not through effort, through frequency. It doesn't take years. It takes consistency. Once a new signal becomes dominant, once it's repeated and reinforced emotionally, it replaces the old. The brain rewires. The nervous system recalibrates. And the outcomes begin to shift not through force but through alignment. You're not fighting yourself anymore. You're resyncing. And suddenly, the things that used to feel hard begin to feel natural. Opportunities appear. Conversations go differently. Confidence feels authentic, not performed. Why? Because the code has changed. You didn't fix your life. You updated the operating system. And the most important part? You can do this again, as often as needed, because the subconscious is always programmable. It's not locked. It's waiting for instruction. And now you know how to give it. So the next time you catch yourself thinking, this is just the way I am, stop. That's not you. That's a line of code. And now you get to decide, keep it or rewrite it. If belief shapes reality, what happens when you believe the impossible? You've been told that belief is optional, a soft force, something personal and private. But that's a lie. Belief isn't passive, it's structural. It's not about what you hope for. It's about what your subconscious has already decided is possible. And here's the shocker. Your reality doesn't reflect your desires. It reflects your beliefs. Not the ones you post about. The ones that live in your subconscious. Underground, unspoken but loud. Now think about that carefully. If your beliefs are misaligned with your goals, your reality won't budge. You can visualize. You can hustle. You can say all the right things. But unless belief locks into the system like a key into a vault, nothing opens. So let's go straight to the core. What is belief? It's not a thought. It's not a wish. Belief is a felt certainty. A pattern of thought, emotion, and expectation fused into one coherent signal. When you believe something, your body responds. Your nervous system calibrates. Your perception shifts. You stop hoping and start moving like it's already done. Belief is internal authority. And in a quantum world where potential is infinite and matter responds to consciousness, belief becomes the selector. It's the command that collapses infinite possibilities into one experienced outcome. You don't get what you want. You get what your subconscious says is real. So if you've been stuck, if you've tried all the methods and nothing's changing, pause. Stop looking for new strategies. Start looking at your belief blueprint. Because somewhere in the architecture of your mind, you've locked yourself out of your own vault. Let's go further. The quantum field doesn't operate like a vending machine. You don't put in effort and get out reward. You don't get results because you've earned them. You get results because your inner world matches the frequency of that outcome. If you believe abundance is normal, you experience more of it. If you believe you're always taken care of, you notice proof of that everywhere. But if you believe life is a struggle, love is scarce, or success is reserved for the lucky, your reality will comply. Not because that belief is true, but because your subconscious has accepted it as the script to follow. This is the vault, and the key is belief. But most beliefs are inherited, not chosen. You didn't analyze them. You absorbed them. From family, from school, from media, from culture. And now they operate like laws even if they're lies. You believe what you've been trained to expect. You believe what your body has repeated emotionally. You believe what your environment reinforced over and over again. But you don't have to keep those beliefs. You can uninstall them. And the process begins with detection. Ask yourself, what do I believe is possible for someone like me? Where do I feel resistance around success, ease, love, health? What beliefs do I repeat without question? And what results do they keep giving me? These aren't philosophical questions. They're diagnostic. Because once you find the limiting beliefs, you can reverse engineer them. How? By building emotional evidence for something new. The subconscious doesn't change because of logic. It changes because of experience. If you want to believe you're worthy, safe, or successful, you have to feel that belief enough times that it becomes your new normal. Start small. Not with affirmations, but with identity-level beliefs. Instead of saying, I want more abundance, say, I create abundance easily. Feel what that version of you feels. Walk like it's true. Speak like it's inevitable. Move like the world is rigged in your favor. Because here's the quantum truth. The moment you feel it, you start broadcasting it. And once you broadcast it, the field starts reshuffling to reflect it. You're not forcing reality. You're signaling it. You're unlocking the vault, not with effort, but with coherence. But it doesn't stop there. Belief doesn't just change outcomes. It changes biology. Studies in placebo and nocebo effects show that belief can heal or harm the body. A sugar pill becomes medicine because the mind accepts it as truth. The body listens to belief more than it listens to data. That means your belief about aging affects how fast your body declines. Your belief about recovery affects how fast you heal. Your belief about possibility literally programs your cells. So ask yourself this. Are you using belief as a shield or as a sword? Most people use belief reactively. They defend themselves with it. They say, I hope things work out. Or maybe someday. That's not belief. That's emotional insurance. That's hedging your energy. True belief is aggressive, focused, uncompromising, says, "This is happening. Not because I need it, not because I'm worthy in some moral way, but because I'm broadcasting it with full emotional authority, and I know the field responds to that signal." This is the mindset of those who rewrite their lives, who change direction mid-story, who break generational cycles without waiting for permission. They're not different. They've just stopped negotiating with their subconscious. They issue new commands, and the system updates. You can do the same. Start replacing weak beliefs with powerful ones. Not just on paper, but in presence. Speak them aloud. Feel them in your body. Act on them in small ways. And repeat them until your nervous system stops rejecting them. Because when a belief becomes familiar, the field begins to follow. You're not waiting for signs. You're becoming the sign. You're not chasing reality. You're instructing it. And the vault? It was never locked. You just hadn't believed the code. Now you do. What if every dream is a message, or even a portal, to your higher self? You close your eyes. You drift. Time distorts. The world melts. And suddenly you're somewhere else. Flying, falling, floating, reliving, creating. You're in a dream. But what if it's not just a dream? What if what you're calling a nighttime illusion is actually a key to reshaping your waking reality? This isn't abstract. This is about the most overlooked and possibly the most powerful interface between you and your subconscious. The dream state. Dreams are not noise. They're code. They're raw output from the subconscious, unfiltered by logic, untamed by language. And if you know how to read them, or better yet, how to use them, they become more than memories. They become mechanisms. Dreams don't follow linear time. They don't care about gravity, social rules, or the boundaries of the five senses. That's not dysfunction. That's freedom. Your conscious mind is offline, and what's left is pure creative processing. Emotions, memories, symbols, and unresolved loops, all appearing as metaphor, story, and sensation. Most people dismiss their dreams because they don't make sense. But that's the mistake. They're not supposed to follow logic. They follow energy. They speak in the native language of your subconscious, image and emotion. So the real question is not, what did that dream mean? It's, what is my subconscious trying to process, resolve, or rehearse through this scenario? Let's start here. The dream world is your sandbox, a simulation your subconscious uses to replay trauma, rehearse outcomes, and explore possibilities you suppress during the day. And if you start interacting with it intentionally, you gain access to a whole new dimension of influence. Here's how. First, you must track your dreams. Don't just remember them, record them. Keep a notebook or voice note beside your bed. Capture the feeling, the colors, the sequence. Why? Because pattern recognition is everything. Over time, your subconscious reveals themes, repeating symbols, emotional hotspots, unfinished stories. You're not guessing in the dark. You're decoding your mind's most honest messages. Second, understand that dreams aren't random. They're feedback. They show you where energy is stuck, where beliefs are still embedded, where your inner world is trying to show you what your waking mind is ignoring. If you keep dreaming about running, hiding, or failing, it's not a prophecy. It's a mirror. It's showing you that your system still holds fear, pressure, or unresolved stress. And by acknowledging it, not resisting it, you bring it into conscious awareness. That's the first step to rewriting it. Now here's where it gets deeper. You can influence your dreams before they happen. This is called dream incubation, and it's real. Before sleep, you give your subconscious a directive, a question, a theme, a focus. Then you enter rest not passively, but intentionally. Your last waking thoughts set the filter for your dream content. This is not fantasy. Studies show that people who engage in dream incubation are more likely to receive creative insights, problem-solving breakthroughs, or clarity about internal conflicts. Your subconscious is always working. You just rarely give it a job to do. Start with this. Show me what I need to release. Give me clarity on this challenge. Let me experience the feeling of my next level. and then watch what surfaces. Not always directly, sometimes in symbolic language, but the emotional tone will tell you everything. Now let's take it further. Some people report experiences of lucid dreaming, the ability to become aware that they're dreaming while inside the dream. When this happens, you shift from observer to participant. You can alter the environment, change outcomes, ask questions, even meet parts of your subconscious represented as characters, animals, or landscapes. Lucid dreaming isn't fantasy. It's trainable. And while it takes practice, it opens a gateway to direct subconscious programming. Think about what that means. In a state where time, identity, and physical laws are suspended, you get to rehearse new realities. You can heal memories, explore decisions, generate emotion, all of which send signals back into your waking state. And because the subconscious doesn't distinguish between real and vividly imagined experience, those signals begin to alter your neural structure, your beliefs, and your emotional baseline. In other words, dream it deeply enough, and it becomes a blueprint. You are no longer just visualizing during the day. You are training during the night. But even if you never reach full lucidity, dreams still offer access. The key is this: stop dismissing them. Start working with them. Treat dreams as a dialogue. Your subconscious is speaking. The more you listen, the more it reveals. The more you honor it, the more responsive it becomes. And over time, your dream life stops being chaotic and starts being collaborative. You become a conscious participant in your inner world. You reclaim 8 hours of every day not as downtime, but as development time. Because your quantum potential isn't confined to waking hours. It's always running. And dreams are one of its most direct expressions. So here's the shift. Stop seeing dreams as escape. Start seeing them as instruction. Stop waiting for life to show you the answers. Start letting your subconscious simulate them. You are a traveler between states, conscious, subconscious, and beyond. And in the dream world, you get a glimpse of reality unbound. Emotion as language, thought as matter, identity as fluid, time as irrelevant. So next time you sleep, remember this: you're not just resting, you're programming. What if tuning into different brainwaves is like dialing into parallel dimensions? You've probably been taught to think of your brain as a static processor. One frequency, one rhythm, one steady stream of thought. But your brain doesn't operate on a single channel. It's more like a multiband receiver, switching between frequencies depending on your level of awareness, emotional state, and focus. And each frequency is not just a brain state, it's a gateway, a different access point, a different level of interaction with your subconscious, a different alignment with the quantum field. This is where science meets possibility. Your brain has 5 primary wave states: beta, alpha, theta, delta, and gamma. Each one is measurable. Each one corresponds to a different mode of consciousness. And each one plays a unique role in how you create, access memory, and even manifest reality. Let's break them down. Beta is the frequency of your normal waking state. Alert, focused, logical. It's where most of your daily thinking happens. But it's also where stress, overthinking, and scattered attention live. If you're stuck in high beta, your brain is locked into survival mode, hypervigilant, rigid, and cut off from deeper insight. This is why you can't solve deep problems with surface-level thinking. You're trying to rewire your subconscious while stuck in the conscious bandwidth. Alpha is the first gateway. It's the relaxed, reflective state you enter when you're daydreaming, meditating lightly, or absorbing a beautiful view. In alpha, your critical mind softens. Your subconscious becomes more suggestible. Visualization becomes vivid. Ideas flow. And this is the entry point to quantum access. When you're in alpha, your brain begins to communicate more coherently with your body and heart, forming what scientists call global coherence. It's the biological basis of alignment. But the real magic begins in theta. Theta is the bridge between the conscious and unconscious. It's the state your brain operates in during deep meditation, early sleep, or just before waking. In childhood, your brain lived in theta almost constantly. That's why so much was absorbed without resistance. In theta, you're not analyzing, you're accepting. You can bypass the conscious filter and speak directly to the subconscious. This is the state where real reprogramming happens, where you install new beliefs not just by thinking them, but by feeling them as real. If you've ever listened to a guided meditation or affirmations as you drifted off to sleep, that's no accident. It's a targeted use of theta access. Then there's delta, the slowest frequency. This is deep, dreamless sleep, but it's not unconscious. In delta, your body is repairing. Your subconscious is sorting data. And some researchers believe this is the space where non-local intuition operates, where guidance, insight, or quantum impressions can arise without sensory input. Finally, we reach gamma, the fastest brainwave. It's associated with heightened states of consciousness, compassion, and insight. Monks in deep meditation have been shown to produce large amounts of gamma waves. It's the signature of integration, of unity between mind, heart, and body. But here's the key. These brainwaves are not just passive reflections. You can train them. You can intentionally shift your frequency to match the access you desire. You want to reprogram your subconscious? Move into theta. You want clarity and visualization? Alpha is your portal. You want full-body integration and alignment? Gamma is your target. And this shift isn't complicated. It just requires presence and practice. Tools like breathwork, binaural beats, meditation, and focused visualization all allow you to change states. Not by force, but by rhythm. Your brain responds to environment, intention, and internal signals. Think of your brainwaves like keys on a piano. Each key unlocks a different tone, a different experience. And when you know which key to press, you stop banging on the keyboard and start composing. This is why trying to fix your life while stuck in beta is so frustrating. You're working too high in the system. You're pressing buttons on the dashboard without touching the engine. You can't force transformation from stress. You can only access it from safety, stillness, and lowered resistance. That's why most breakthrough moments don't happen while grinding. They happen during a walk, a shower, a meditation, a dream. When the frequency shifts, the insight flows. That's not coincidence, it's coherence. So here's the practice. Start learning your dominant state. Are you always thinking, analyzing, reacting? That's high beta. Interrupt it. Use breath. Use stillness. Use music. Step out of the mind's noise. Choose your desired state. Want to reprogram? Target theta. Want creative flow? Enter alpha. Give your subconscious new input during these states. Visualize. Affirm. Feel the new reality. Repeat. Rhythm creates familiarity. Familiarity creates belief. Belief becomes baseline. This isn't mystical. It's biological. You're not stuck in one level of consciousness. You're a dynamic system, and each brainwave is a lever waiting to be pulled with precision. But here's the twist. These states don't just give you access to the subconscious. They also tune your body into the quantum field. They alter your frequency, and that frequency becomes your signal, which means when you visualize success in theta, you're not just daydreaming. You're impressing a blueprint into your subconscious and broadcasting it into the field at the same time. You're thinking and signaling. You're imagining and programming. This is where science and mysticism shake hands. This is the mechanism behind miracles, and it's measurable. So the next time you sit quietly, the next time you drift into that in-between space, the next time your mind softens and your thoughts slow, know this, you're not escaping reality. You're accessing it at the root level. Do your emotions actually emit the code for the universe to read? There's a signal coming off of you right now, not a metaphorical vibe, a real, measurable electromagnetic field. Your heart is generating it. Your brain is amplifying it. Your nervous system is responding to it. And whether you realize it or not, that signal is shaping your life. Not because of magic, because of mechanics. Your body is not just flesh and neurons. It's a frequency generator. And the dominant frequency you broadcast, the one driven by your thoughts, your beliefs, and especially your emotions, doesn't just influence how you feel. It influences what you receive. Let's get very clear. The universe does not respond to what you want. It responds to what you are. Not in words, not in intentions, but in vibration, in state, in coherence. So if you're thinking abundance while feeling fear, if you're saying, I am confident while broadcasting doubt, if you're visualizing success but emotionally tethered to unworthiness, you're not sending a mixed message. You're sending a dominant one, and that dominant signal is what creates your reality. This is the difference between manifestation that works and manifestation that stays stuck in theory. You don't create from your mind alone. You create from your emotional frequency. And frequency is not mood. It's not pretending to feel good. It's the sum total of your energy, thought loops, subconscious beliefs, and nervous system signals. It's the baseline you operate from, whether you speak it or not. Let's go deeper. Your heart's electromagnetic field is 60 to 100 times more powerful than the one emitted by your brain. It radiates several feet beyond your body, forming a field of influence that interacts with your environment in real time. When your thoughts and feelings are aligned, your heart and brain synchronize. This is called coherence. And in that state, your body becomes efficient. Your immune system strengthens. Your intuition sharpens. Your subconscious becomes more responsive. And most importantly, your signal stabilizes. You are no longer broadcasting chaos. You're transmitting clarity. That signal is what draws reality to you, not because it attracts things, but because it filters what you notice, how you behave, and how others respond to you. You tune your perception to match what your frequency allows. So if you're living in frustration, guilt, or fear, your brain will literally filter out solutions, opportunities, and patterns that don't match those states. Not because they're not available, but because they're not aligned with your signal. This is why working harder doesn't always produce better results. You can't outrun a low-frequency pattern with high-effort behavior. You have to shift the field first. That shift doesn't come from forcing positivity. It comes from generating authentic emotional alignment. So how do you do it? First, stop trying to create from thought alone. Thought is the blueprint, but feeling is the voltage. Every visualization must be paired with emotion. Not someday emotion, now emotion. Your body must experience the outcome as if it's already real. Because in the language of the subconscious and the quantum field, now is the only time that matters. The subconscious doesn't distinguish between what's real and what's vividly imagined. So when you feel something as real, you begin to program that experience into your nervous system. That new feeling becomes your new normal, and your external world begins to reorganize around it. Not instantly, but inevitably. Because your field has changed, and the field is your magnet. Let's get practical. Start your day by tuning your frequency, not checking your phone. Before the world grabs your attention, set your internal tone. Gratitude, presence, calm. It doesn't matter how. What matters is coherence. Pick one emotion that matches your desired outcome, and practice it for 3 to 5 minutes at a time. Breathe it. Feel it. Not because something happened, but because it's who you are choosing to be. Interrupt low-frequency states early. You don't need to eliminate fear or sadness, but you do need to notice when you're reinforcing them. Catch the loop. Shift the breath. Redirect attention. Pair visualization with somatic anchoring. When you visualize your desired outcome, pair it with posture, breath, and body language. This tells your system, this is real. This is safe. This is familiar. Stop outsourcing your state to your circumstances. If you're waiting for something to change before you feel better, you've reversed the mechanism. Feeling first, circumstance second. Because reality doesn't shift when the world changes. It shifts when your signal does. And that signal, the one encoded in your frequency, is not random. It's programmable. By you. Right now. So next time you say, I want this, ask yourself, what do I actually feel like right now? Is your energy matching your outcome? Are you aligned emotionally with the reality you're trying to create? Because if not, your frequency is working against you. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be intentional. Choose a new baseline. Reinforce it daily. Let your emotional state become your anchor, not your reaction. And then watch. Because when your frequency stabilizes, reality begins to catch up. If time is an illusion, can your subconscious reverse or fast forward it? You wake up, and time seems to stretch. You rush through your day, and suddenly it's vanished. In one moment, minutes feel like hours. In another, hours vanish in seconds. You call it losing track of time. But what if that phrase is more literal than you thought? What if your subconscious isn't just influenced by time, but influences it? This isn't just a thought experiment. It's the edge where neuroscience, psychology, and quantum physics collide, and where your understanding of reality has to expand. Let's start with the basics. Your brain doesn't experience time objectively, constructs it. Your sense of past, present, and future isn't hardwired into the fabric of the universe. It's stitched together by your brain as a survival function. That's why time feels different in different emotional states. Stress speeds it up. Flow slows it down. Boredom stretches it. Fear freezes it. Your subconscious doesn't measure time the way your conscious mind does. To the subconscious, everything is now. That's why a memory from 20 years ago can feel like it's happening in real time. That's why a trauma can live in the body long after the event. That's why a dream can feel more real than a meeting you had yesterday. Because the subconscious isn't tethered to clocks or calendars. It's tethered to emotion. And emotion is timeless. So what happens when you change your emotional state around a past event? You change your relationship with that moment. And if your relationship with the past changes, the version of you that exists in the present begins to update. This is called retroactive transformation. It's not about rewriting history. It's about rewriting the emotional coding of the event. And when you do that, the subconscious lets go of the pattern it built around that memory. The loop breaks. The identity softens. The future shifts. You've felt this before, even if you didn't realize it. Think about a memory you used to feel ashamed of, but now you can laugh at. What changed? The event didn't. You did. Your state shifted. Your perspective matured. Your energy released the charge. That's time manipulation. Not in the physics lab. In the nervous system. But it works the other way too. You can pre-code your future using the same mechanism. This is what athletes, artists, and high performers have done instinctively for decades. They rehearse the future emotionally before it happens. They simulate success, feel it in the body, imagine the outcome with full sensory detail, so when it actually happens, it feels familiar. This is called temporal priming. It's more than just visualization. It's an emotional instruction. You're telling your subconscious, this is what to expect. And once that expectation is felt as real, the subconscious starts filtering experiences, behaviors, and decisions to match it. In other words, you bend time by selecting your state before the timeline unfolds. So the idea that time is fixed, outdated, you can reshape the emotional past. You can pre-feel the desired future. And when your subconscious accepts the change, your body, your actions, and your life begin moving toward that version of reality without resistance. Here's a practical way to use this. Revisit a past moment that still triggers you. Don't relive it to suffer. Observe it as data. Find the emotional charge. Then do this. Reimagine the moment with your adult awareness. Speak to your younger self. Offer comfort, context, or even new choices. Replace the stuck emotion with one of release, peace, or insight. Breathe that new emotion in until your body registers safety. You're not erasing the memory. You're updating the emotional file attached to it. And once that file changes, the behaviors born from it begin to shift. Then go forward. Visualize a future you want to live. Not with vague hope, with precision. Picture the version of you already living it. Feel the emotional state of having it now. Let your nervous system absorb that feeling as real. Let your body respond. Let your breath deepen. Let your posture match it. What you're doing is teaching your system a new timeline. One that already exists in the field of possibility, but needs your emotional signature to activate. Time is not a line. It's a loop, a field. And your subconscious is the tuner. You've seen this in déjà vu. In moments that feel familiar before they happen. In dreams that feel prophetic. in synchronicities that line up with a decision you haven't even made yet. This isn't fantasy. This is how nonlinear consciousness leaks into linear life. So let's reframe everything. You are not at the mercy of time. You're interacting with it. Every emotional imprint you hold about the past, it's anchoring your present. Every future you imagine with conviction, it's sending signals backward into your now. And if you don't become intentional with those signals, they default to old patterns. They run on yesterday's code. And tomorrow becomes just another version of the past. But when you start choosing your state with clarity, when you start training your body to feel what hasn't happened yet, when you start releasing the emotions that tie you to old stories, you begin to warp time. You live in a present that's no longer chained to trauma. You move toward a future that feels inevitable, not forced. You become the bridge between memory and possibility. That's not illusion. That's access. You're not bound by your history. You're not limited by clocks. You are a multidimensional being capable of emotional time travel. And your subconscious? It's your time machine. Is the world outside just a projection of what you carry inside? You wake up. You look around. You see your room, your phone, your plans for the day. You think you're observing reality. But what if you're actually looking in a mirror? Not a mirror of glass. A mirror of energy. One that reflects not your face, but your inner world. One that responds not to your wishes, but to your beliefs, emotions, and expectations. Because here's the fundamental shift. Reality is not happening to you. It's responding to you. This isn't metaphor. It's the core function of the subconscious mind within a quantum field. What you consistently think, feel, and expect creates a frequency. That frequency becomes your filter. And that filter determines what version of reality you tune into. Let's break it down. You walk into a room with confidence and clarity. You make eye contact. You smile. You stand tall. People respond to you differently, not because you told them to, but because of the energy you brought into the space. Your behavior changed. Your perception changed. Your field changed. And reality mirrored back a different experience. Now flip it. You enter the same room carrying doubt, insecurity, or resentment. Suddenly, the same people feel colder. The same space feels tense. You interpret silence as judgment. Your body tightens. Your tone changes. You withdraw slightly. Did the world change? No, you did. And reality reflected your new frequency. Perfectly. This is the quantum mirror. And it works constantly, not occasionally. Not when you're in alignment. Always. That's why it's so important to stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this showing me about me? Because your relationships, finances, opportunities, and even the obstacles you face are data. They're feedback. They're external confirmations of your internal code. And until you shift that code, the reflection doesn't change. You can't fight a mirror into showing a new image. You have to change what's being reflected. This isn't about blame. It's about responsibility. The ability to respond to your experience, not as a victim, but as a participant. Your subconscious mind is constantly interpreting life through its programmed lens. It notices certain things, ignores others. It expects patterns and finds them, even when better options are available. It's not biased toward growth. It's biased toward familiarity. So if your subconscious believes relationships are unsafe, you'll subconsciously sabotage intimacy or attract unavailable people. Not because you deserve pain, but because the mirror is responding to what your energy says is normal. Same with money. If your emotional blueprint says money equals stress, guilt, or loss, then no matter how much you earn, the experience around it will reflect that belief. Chaos will follow. Opportunities will dissolve. Or you'll feel empty even when you succeed. The mirror doesn't lie. It reflects. And when you get that, truly get it, everything changes. Because now you stop reacting. You start observing. You realize the problem isn't always out there. It's in the frequency you're projecting. So how do you use this? Start watching your world like it's a screen displaying your subconscious. When someone triggers you, ask, what part of me is still unresolved here? What expectation did I bring into this moment? What belief is being mirrored back? When things flow easily, ask, what energy was I holding before this showed up? What belief did I align with to create this opening? Make this your new practice. Decode the mirror. Reality is a projection, and your emotional, energetic, and mental signals are the projector. When your internal dialogue says, things never work out, the mirror shows you more delay, frustration, and misalignment. When your internal signal says, I'm ready, I trust, I'm enough, the mirror begins to reorganize to reflect that. It's not instant, but it's inevitable because the field is always listening. And here's the twist. You can't fake it. You can't pretend to feel aligned while secretly clinging to fear. The mirror doesn't reflect what you say. It reflects what you believe and feel consistently. So this is where true work begins. Not changing the mirror, but changing the signal you're sending to it. Which means becoming aware of your emotional set point, rewriting core beliefs that no longer serve you, practicing coherence where your heart, mind, and body align in intention, shifting your focus from lack to sufficiency, from fear to neutrality, from doubt to inner authority. As you do, the reflection will change. People will treat you differently. Ideas will come faster. Coincidences will increase. You'll begin to recognize the feedback loop, not as something to fix, but as something to work with. Because once you accept that reality is a mirror, you stop waiting to be rescued. You stop blaming. You stop postponing your power. You become the one adjusting the dials. And in time, the mirror reflects back something new, not because the world became different, but because you did. So next time you're tempted to ask, why is this happening again? Pause. Ask instead, what is this showing me about my signal? And when you get that answer, don't resist it. Use it, because the moment you shift the input, the reflection must follow. If your subconscious is outdated, can you download a better version of yourself? There's a system inside you that's always running. Not the mind you think with, not the habits you notice, but something quieter, something deeper. It runs when you're awake. It runs while you sleep. It predicts your behavior before you even make a choice. It's the ghost in your machine, your subconscious software. And for most people, it's outdated. Not because they're broken, but because their subconscious is still operating off emotional code written years, sometimes decades ago. Think about this. You upgrade your phone's operating system every few months. You update your apps. You refresh your tools. But when's the last time you consciously rewrote your inner software? You weren't born with the beliefs you carry today. You learned them. You weren't born afraid to speak, to receive, to thrive. You were taught by repetition, by emotion, by experience, to expect limits, to expect rejection, to play small. And over time, those lessons became the background code that now runs your life. Most of it was never questioned. And the longer it goes unquestioned, the more automatic it becomes. This is why you can read every book, take every course, repeat every affirmation, and still get stuck. Because you're not stuck at the conscious level. You're stuck at the subconscious code level. And the good news? Code can be rewritten, but it won't change through willpower. And it won't change by simply learning something new. It will only change through emotionally anchored repetition, delivered in a state your subconscious actually listens to. Let's get specific. Your subconscious mind is programmable, but it doesn't accept commands the same way your conscious mind does. It speaks a different language, one made of emotion, imagery, tone, and repetition. To rewrite a belief, you have to do two things: interrupt the old pattern, embed a new one while in a receptive state. So how do you do that? Step 1. Identify the loop. Catch the code that's running. Listen for it in your language. I always mess things up. No one really sees me. I'm not the kind of person who succeeds at this. These aren't passing thoughts. They're subconscious instructions, and your behavior is just following them. Write them down. Trace them back. Ask where they came from, whose voice it originally was. You'll start to see that most of these beliefs were inherited, not chosen. Step 2. Weaken the emotional glue. These patterns aren't held together by logic. They're fused by emotion. shame, fear, pain, guilt. So you have to feel that emotional charge without reinforcing it. You do this through awareness, not judgment. You bring the pattern into the light and observe it without feeding it. Awareness begins to erode its power. Step 3. Shift into a reprogrammable state. Your subconscious is most open to new input when you're in alpha or theta brainwave states, meaning deep relaxation, meditation, or just before sleep. This is when your inner critic softens and the gate to your subconscious opens. In this state, you install the new code. You visualize your upgraded self. Not vaguely, but vividly. You feel what it's like to be them, to walk like them, to speak, breathe, and make decisions like them. You rehearse this until your nervous system begins to accept it as familiar. Because once it feels familiar, your subconscious stops resisting it. Step 4. Anchor it in your body. It's not enough to think the new belief. You must embody it. Pair it with posture, with breath, with language, with small daily actions that say, "This is who I am now." Each repetition strengthens the signal. Each action tells your subconscious, "This is real." And over time, the new pattern overrides the old one. Not because you forced it, but because your system recognized it as safer, stronger, and more aligned. This is not motivation. This is installation. Just like updating software, there will be resistance. Old programs will try to run in the background. You'll be tempted to doubt, to snap back into old identity loops. That's expected. That's how software behaves when it's being rewritten. Don't panic. Just keep repeating the new input. And here's the critical piece. You can't just remove code. You must replace it. The subconscious doesn't operate in emptiness. If you take out a limiting belief, you must insert an empowering one in its place, or your system will default to what's familiar. So don't just stop saying, "I'm not good enough." Start saying and feeling, "I am fully equipped for what's next." Don't just avoid the thought, "People don't support me." Program, "I attract aligned, supportive, and powerful connections." Make your subconscious work for you, not against you. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who programs them. You are not your past. You are the one who can update what your system believes is true. And this isn't a one-time shift. It's a practice. Each day you reinforce the new belief, you deepen the neural connection. You fire a new pattern. And the old one begins to fade, not because you forced it to disappear, but because it's no longer the path of least resistance. Your subconscious always chooses the most efficient route. So make the new route feel easier, more rewarding, more emotionally alive. Do this with clarity, with patience, with certainty, because the old code may have been installed without your permission. But the new code? That's your choice. If sugar pills can cure, what else can belief do? Patient takes a pill with no active ingredients. Their symptoms improve. Pain disappears. Energy returns. The body heals not because of chemistry, but because of expectation. This is not rare. It's documented. It's real. And it's not just a placebo. It's a portal into the hidden, often ignored power of the human mind to instruct the body and even reality through belief and perception. This chapter is not about medicine. It's about consciousness and the evidence that your mind, when properly directed, has the power to trigger physical, measurable, and sometimes extraordinary transformation. Let's be direct. The placebo effect isn't an anomaly. It's not an accident. It's not just psychological. It's proof of a deeper truth. The body responds to the subconscious mind more than it responds to the external world. When someone believes they are healing, when they emotionally anticipate relief, when they expect recovery, the body gets the message. Neurochemistry shifts. The immune system activates. Brain regions associated with pain, anxiety, and motor function begin to rewire. This isn't a trick. It's biology responding to belief. Now consider what that means. If belief can heal, what else can it do? What if belief is not just a side effect of healing, but one of its primary causes? This is where quantum thinking enters the picture. In quantum physics, observation influences outcome. Potential collapses into experience based on intention and attention. In your body, the same principle applies. Your focused belief doesn't just comfort your mind, it instructs your cells. The body doesn't know the difference between a real experience and one that's vividly imagined with emotional intensity. When you visualize healing and feel it as real, your system responds as if it's already happening. So the line between placebo and portal is not about the substance. It's about the signal. And the strongest signal your body receives is the one your subconscious broadcasts most consistently. But here's where it gets even more important. Most people are running the nocebo effect without realizing it. Nocebo is the opposite of placebo. It's when negative beliefs or expectations trigger symptoms, pain, or decline, even in the absence of a physical cause. When you expect illness, when you dwell in fear, when you reinforce the identity of someone who is fragile, broken, or stuck, your body listens. So the real question is, what is your belief system doing to your biology right now? Is it activating healing or reinforcing illness? Are your thoughts flooding your body with coherence or cortisol? Are you rehearsing pain or programming peace? Your subconscious holds more power over your physiology than genetics. Epigenetic research shows that gene expression can be influenced by environment, behavior, and mindset. That means your beliefs literally switch genes on and off. This isn't about pretending you're fine. It's about training your system to expect health, not just wish for it. And that starts with emotional rehearsal. Every day, your body memorizes your emotional state. The longer you stay in frustration, the more your body adapts to that chemistry. Same with worry, same with fatigue. But you can reverse it. You can introduce new states, gratitude, joy, wholeness, and train your nervous system to recognize them as normal. That's how placebo works, and that's how self-healing begins. Here's how to apply it. Shift your identity. Stop identifying with your condition, diagnosis, or limitation. Your subconscious listens to I am statements as commands. Replace I am anxious with I am returning to calm. Replace I am broken with I am rebuilding. Engage in daily inner rehearsal. Visualize your body already healthy. Picture yourself doing what you've been unable to do. Feel the emotion of wholeness, not as something you're chasing, but something that already exists. Anchor the emotional state. Let the feeling of healing grow in your body. Deepen your breath. Smile gently. Stand tall. Let the body and mind synchronize around this new state. Speak to your body like it's listening, because it is. Every cell is tuned to the frequency of your dominant emotional tone. Affirm life, affirm strength, affirm renewal not as a chant, but as a signal. Surround yourself with coherence. Reduce mental and emotional noise. Protect your focus. Rest when needed. Nourish your attention with stories, images, and environments that reflect wellness, not disease. This is not mind over matter. This is mind through matter. You're not bypassing reality. You're choosing which version of it to reinforce. Because the field of possibility always contains multiple outcomes. And the one you live depends on which one you emotionally fund with your attention and belief. So yes, a sugar pill can trigger healing. But so can a moment of true gratitude. A single vision of a whole body. A deep breath that says, I am safe now. Placebo isn't tricking the body. It's showing it what's possible. And your belief? It's not decoration. It's the password to a hidden dimension of wellness. You don't need to wait for external proof to begin healing. You need to generate the signal first. The portal opens from the inside. Is the universe trying to text you? Are you reading the signs? You think of someone you haven't seen in years, and they message you that day. You keep noticing the same number, the same word, the same image again and again. A delay that frustrates you ends up aligning you perfectly with a new opportunity. You call it coincidence. But what if it's not random? What if synchronicity is the language of your subconscious, whispering through the fabric of reality to get your attention? Here's the shift. Synchronicity isn't magic. It's not superstition. It's not wishful thinking. It's pattern recognition within a quantum field that's responding to your internal frequency. To understand it, you have to understand how the subconscious and reality interact. Your subconscious mind is a pattern matching machine. It's constantly scanning the environment to confirm what you believe, expect, and emotionally prioritize. It filters out anything that contradicts those internal settings. But when those settings shift, when you align with a new goal, identity, or frequency, your subconscious starts highlighting different elements in your environment. You notice things you would have missed. You make connections you couldn't have seen before. And the world seems to be reflecting your new internal state in strange, precise, and beautiful ways. This is synchronicity. It's not a coincidence. It's confirmation. But most people ignore it. Or worse, they notice it but dismiss it as luck or weird timing. And in doing so, they miss the conversation. Because synchronicity is a conversation between your conscious self, your subconscious mind, and the field of possibility that surrounds you. Let's make this practical. Have you ever been thinking about a decision, and then a phrase, song lyric, or article title pops into your awareness, almost as if it's speaking directly to that moment? Have you ever set an intention, and then within days or hours, something random happens that aligns exactly with that outcome? These aren't random. They're signals. They're responses to the energetic broadcast you've been sending. You didn't force them. You tuned into them. The same way a radio station plays what's already being broadcast in the air, your attention picks up synchronicity when your subconscious and conscious signals are coherent. So how do you recognize when something is a synchronicity and not just noise? Here's the key. Synchronicity is emotionally precise. It doesn't just appear. It resonates. It stirs something in you. It's as if the moment itself is alive with meaning, even if you can't explain why. That emotional resonance is your subconscious confirming, pay attention, this matters. The mistake people make is trying to overanalyze synchronicities with logic. But their power isn't in their intellectual content. It's in their energetic alignment with your internal state. That's why a number on a license plate might feel like a lightning bolt of recognition, while a direct message from someone might feel hollow. Synchronicity isn't about external intensity. It's about internal recognition. So what creates synchronicity? 3 main things. Clarity of intention. When you set a clear emotional goal or vision, your subconscious starts scanning for anything aligned with that energy. Emotional investment. The more you emotionally commit to a version of reality, the more magnetic your field becomes. Synchronicities cluster around emotional intensity. Receptivity. The quieter your internal noise, the easier it is for your system to detect signals in the external world. When you're present, patterns emerge. Here's the paradox. The more you trust synchronicity, the more it shows up. Not because you're imagining it, but because you've taught your subconscious to value it. And what you value, your mind filters in. So how do you work with this? Start tracking your synchronicities. Write them down. Review them. Don't analyze, just acknowledge. Signal to your subconscious, I'm listening. Set intentions and release the timeline. Synchronicity thrives in spaciousness, not pressure. Want something clearly, then let go of the how. Stay emotionally attuned. When something resonates deeply, even if it seems minor, honor that feeling. It's a thread. Follow it. And above all, treat your life like a feedback loop. Synchronicities are not external validations. They're reflections of your internal shift. The more aligned you are, the more reality mirrors that alignment with meaning-rich moments. Let's be clear. Synchronicity is not a cheat code. It doesn't mean life will always be easy, or that everything is a sign. But when synchronicity becomes consistent, when the patterns become undeniable, it's time to stop doubting and start decoding. Because the quantum field is intelligent, and your subconscious is listening. You're not being tested. You're being answered. The question is, are you tuned in enough to hear the response? Is your mind already operating outside the 3rd dimension without you knowing it? You live in a world that appears to follow rules. Up is up. Down is down. One moment follows the next in a clean line called time. Reality feels local, linear, predictable. But what if this is only one layer? What if your mind is already functioning in a higher framework, outside of straight lines, fixed coordinates, and step-by-step logic? What if the part of you that imagines, intuits, and perceives possibilities is not operating in 3D at all? This is where we move beyond classical thinking. Because your conscious mind, the part that observes, organizes, calculates, is structured to function in linearity. It needs order. It lives by chronology. It tells the story of your life like a script. But your subconscious, and even deeper, your intuitive field, is not bound by those limitations. It doesn't obey time. It doesn't obey space. It doesn't wait for logic to approve the message. This is what we call the 4D mind, not science fiction, not metaphor, but a description of how your awareness expands when you step beyond survival thinking and into signal-based perception. Let's unpack that. In the third dimension, you experience length, width, and height. You navigate a physical world with coordinates. But in the fourth dimension, time becomes flexible. Perspective expands. You begin to perceive patterns not just as events, but as fields of influence. You think of someone and they call. You feel the energy of a room before anyone speaks. You receive a flash of insight that turns out to be accurate. This is not anomaly. This is your multidimensional mind at work. The part of your consciousness that sees across time, that senses potential, that bridges the gap between this moment and your future self. And the bridge is not built with thoughts. It's built with state. When you enter elevated states, coherence, gratitude, presence, you temporarily release the grip of 3D logic. Your brainwaves slow, your nervous system stabilizes, and your awareness opens. You begin to feel your way forward, not think your way forward. You no longer just react to life, you tune into it. So what does this mean practically? It means you are not confined to your 5 senses. Your body may be rooted in the third dimension, but your mind is already stretching across timelines, retrieving data, sensing alignment, rejecting misalignment, and reaching into potential futures for information. You've experienced this as intuition. You felt it when you just knew something wasn't right or was. You felt it when a creative idea arrived fully formed. You felt it when you stepped into a situation and knew what would happen next. This is non-local awareness, and it doesn't originate from thought. It originates from state. So if you want to activate the 4D mind more consistently, you don't need to study more. You need to align more. You must train your system to hold expanded states without collapsing back into fear, logic, and urgency. Start here. Cultivate stillness daily, not just to rest, but to recalibrate. Stillness allows deeper awareness to rise to the surface. Notice when you try to figure it out. That's the 3D mind gripping the wheel. Pause. Ask, what would clarity feel like right now? Listen to your body. Subtle shifts in tension, expansion, or sensation often carry more intelligence than racing thoughts. Use time creatively. Instead of always thinking from past to future, try rehearsing the feeling of the desired outcome now, and let that feeling instruct your next step. Let go of control. You're not being lazy. You're allowing the higher intelligence of your system to present pathways the linear mind can't yet see. This is not abandoning reason. This is expanding capacity. The 4D mind doesn't eliminate logic. It transcends its limits. And when you start thinking from that space, your life begins to reorganize. You no longer just set goals. You receive direction. You no longer just work harder. You move in flow. You no longer just solve problems. You outgrow them. Because problems are often artifacts of 3D thinking, rooted in fear, identity, scarcity, and control. But when your awareness stretches, you realize you're not locked in cause and effect. You're part of a larger field, where cause and effect happen simultaneously, where feeling and outcome are entangled. And in that field, alignment creates access. Your role isn't to force the future. It's to resonate with it. And let that resonance guide your timing, your perception, your action. This is the 4D mind in practice. Not mystical, not unreachable. Just a deeper version of you, already active, already aware, waiting for space, silence, and trust. Because once you let go of chasing the outcome, once you drop into the present with full emotional coherence, once you listen to what can't be measured, you don't just live in the world. You begin to co-create with it. Is love a quantum force? Or just emotional chemistry? You meet someone and feel an instant connection. You think of a person and they message you. You feel sadness without cause, only to learn someone close to you was in pain at that exact moment. These aren't just emotional hunches. They're signals of something deeper, something that suggests your relationships may not be wired by chance, but by energy. That every strong emotional bond creates a thread, an invisible link, between your field and someone else's. This brings us into one of the most mysterious and beautiful principles of quantum physics: entanglement. In quantum theory, when two particles become entangled, they remain connected regardless of distance. Affect one, and the other responds instantaneously. Not delayed, not weakened, not limited by space. They're synchronized. What if your human connections work the same way? What if emotion is not just felt, it's shared across energetic fields? What if the bond between you and someone else, whether loving or painful, creates an entangled signature that transcends time and distance? This isn't science fiction. It's backed by both emerging studies and age-old intuitive truth. And once you realize how it works, you'll never look at connection or disconnection the same way again. Let's ground this. Your body emits an electromagnetic field. That's measurable. The heart produces the largest one, extending several feet beyond your physical form. When you form deep emotional bonds with someone, especially through repeated presence, vulnerability, or trauma, your fields begin to interact, sync, and in some cases, entangle. That entanglement isn't symbolic. It's energetic. And it means when you think of them, they may feel it. When they shift emotionally, you may sense it. When the bond is strong, even separation doesn't sever the connection completely. Have you ever felt that? A wave of grief, joy, or anxiety that you later traced to someone else? A change in energy before you received bad news? An unspoken knowing that someone you love is in danger or finally at peace? This is emotional entanglement, and it's real, but it's not always romantic or warm. Entanglement can also happen through conflict, codependency, or trauma. In fact, some of the strongest energetic ties are forged in intensity, not harmony. This is why certain people stay stuck in your system even years after they've left your life. You're not obsessing. You're still connected energetically. So what do you do with this? You become conscious of your energetic bonds. You don't just think about who's in your life. You feel into who takes up space in your inner world, who triggers a visceral emotional response, even in silence, whose energy lingers in your thoughts, body, or sleep. Because these are not just mental memories. They may be entangled frequencies, actively exchanging energy, expectation, and emotion with your field. And here's where the power returns to you. Entanglement is not destiny. It's dynamic. You can strengthen or dissolve these threads by shifting the emotional charge they carry. Here's how. 1. Acknowledge the bond. Don't repress or rationalize it. Feel the presence of that person in your energy field. Accept what was real. 2. Identify the emotion tied to it. Is it guilt, longing, anger, gratitude, unresolved pain? Name it clearly. 3. Choose your role. Are you staying energetically entangled because you feel responsible, resentful, attached, safe? 4. Recalibrate the charge. Use visualization, breath, or meditation to shift how that bond feels in your body. Send forgiveness. Send closure. Send neutrality. 5. Release or refine. You don't have to sever every tie. Some connections evolve. But the ones you release consciously stop draining your field and start restoring your alignment. And here's the beautiful paradox. When you clear your entanglements, you create space for more authentic resonance. You attract connections that match your current frequency, not your wounded one. You stop repeating karmic patterns. You stop mistaking intensity for truth. You begin to feel connection not as need but as coherence. This is the new model of relationship, no longer bound by proximity, validation, or obsession, but activated by resonance, freedom, and mutual energetic alignment. And guess what? This also means that healing is contagious. When you elevate your own emotional field, you influence the fields you're entangled with. Your peace becomes a permission slip. Your growth becomes an invitation. Your release creates ripples. That's quantum love. Not possession, not perfection, but field-based connection. One that honors space, honors truth, and remains whole, even in silence. So if you feel someone in your system right now, pause. Ask, is this mine or theirs? Is this active or historical? Is this feeding me or draining me? Then choose your signal. Because in a quantum world, your heart is not just feeling, it's broadcasting. And every beat is a message. Your body may be in 2025, but is your mind still living in 1995? You've grown. You've evolved. You've changed your environment, your circle, maybe even your goals. On the surface, you're moving forward. But beneath all that, at the level of the subconscious, are you still stuck in a version of yourself that no longer matches your present reality? This isn't a mindset problem. It's a timeline problem. Because the subconscious mind doesn't follow the same linear rules your conscious mind does. It doesn't operate on clock time. It operates on emotional time, anchored to memory, trauma, repetition, and unresolved belief. Which means, even if your calendar says it's a new chapter, your inner world might still be broadcasting the signal of a much earlier version of you. And that version could be dictating your decisions, filtering your relationships, limiting your visibility, and shaping your expectations without you even realizing it. Let's break this down. Your subconscious mind stores every emotionally charged moment you've experienced. But it doesn't just file these moments away. It freezes them in time, especially if they weren't fully processed. So that moment when you felt abandoned, embarrassed, rejected, powerless, your conscious mind may have moved on. But your nervous system didn't. Your emotional memory didn't. Your subconscious code didn't. That moment became a time-stamped belief, a loop. And from that point forward, your subconscious began scanning for patterns that matched that original emotional signature. Why? Because familiarity equals safety to the subconscious. Even if the experience is painful, the system would rather repeat what it knows than risk the unknown. So the version of you that got hurt at age 12, or betrayed at 19, or failed at 25, might still be making decisions in your life today. That version might be telling you not to trust love, not to speak up in meetings, not to go after that next level, not to believe that things can be different, because in that frozen loop they never were. This is the subconscious timeline trap. You're living in the present but reacting from the past. This is why change feels hard, why progress seems to snap back, why certain breakthroughs never stick. Because your external world is trying to evolve, but your internal timeline is still stuck in a feedback loop that no longer matches your reality. And here's where the shift begins. You must time travel emotionally on purpose. You must locate the version of you that never got the update, and give them the message. It's not then anymore. You are safe now. You are different now. Life is different now. This isn't therapy. This is resynchronization. You're not trying to erase the past. You're updating your subconscious clock to match your current truth. Here's how to do it. 1. Identify the outdated loop. What situations keep pulling the same emotional response from you, even though your life is different now? Ask, where do I react disproportionately? What belief keeps getting in the way? How old do I feel when I'm triggered? That last question is a powerful key. Often, your response is coming from a younger self frozen in emotional time. 2. Revisit the original imprint, not to relive it, but to observe it. Picture that version of you. See where they are, what they believe, what they felt. Witness them without judgment. Let them speak. Then say, that was real, but it's not current. I'm not erasing your experience. I'm releasing the hold it has on my present. Your subconscious responds to emotion. Speak with presence. Feel the shift. 3. Introduce the present moment update. Visualize your current self walking into that old moment. Not to fix it, but to stand beside it. To offer new choices. To bring new energy. Then emotionally anchor this phrase. We're not stuck there anymore. Repeat it until your breath deepens. Until your nervous system responds. Until the loop begins to soften. 4. Reconnect to present evidence. Your subconscious needs proof. Give it some. List what's different now, the people around you, the skills you've developed, the awareness you carry, the choices now available. Let your system absorb the fact that time has passed, and that you've changed with it. 5. Choose a new emotional default. Every time you feel yourself slipping into the old loop, pause and redirect. Replace fear with presence, shame with neutrality, doubt with curiosity. You're not denying emotion. You're reassigning it to the correct timeline. This is how you restore authority to the present. Because here's the truth. Your past isn't the problem. Your subconscious relationship to it is. When your emotional body is stuck in 2002, your manifestations stay stuck too. Your reactions stay primitive. Your identity stays small. But when you free the timeline, when you bring all parts of you into the now, you begin to act, respond, and create from wholeness. That's when change becomes natural. You're no longer trying to override a frozen self. You're bringing all of you back online. Present, integrated, clear. Because the past is only real if you're still living there. And the future? That belongs to the version of you that knows. Now is where the power is. Your brain is a shapeshifter. What form will you sculpt next? You've been taught that who you are is mostly fixed. That your traits, habits, preferences, even your limitations, are set by a mix of genetics and early experience. That if you're not the kind of person who's confident, focused, calm, or capable, well, that's just how it is. But the science says otherwise. Your brain is not static. It's not locked. It's not a hardwired machine. It's a plastic, not in texture, but in capacity. Can change. Can rewire. Can reorganize. This is neuroplasticity, and it is the physical mechanism through which transformation becomes possible. Neuroplasticity means your brain creates, strengthens, and prunes neural pathways based on one thing: repetition. Not truth, not personality, not history, but input. Whatever you think repeatedly, feel repeatedly, act on repeatedly, your brain starts to reinforce. And whatever you stop feeding with attention, emotion, or action, it begins to weaken, dissolve, and fade. Let that sink in. You're not stuck with a mind, you're sculpting one. Every day. This means the version of you that says, I'm just not good with money. I'm always anxious. I can't focus for long. I don't know how to handle pressure. None of these are traits. They're well-rehearsed neural loops. And that's the most hopeful and terrifying truth you can face. Because once you understand that your brain is rewiring itself all the time, the question isn't can you change? The question is, what are you unconsciously wiring in right now? Most people are reinforcing limitations without realizing it. Each time you respond to stress with a shutdown, each time you loop the same thought of failure, each time you avoid challenge in favor of comfort, you strengthen the circuitry of stuckness. But you can reverse it, because the same plasticity that created your limitations can be used to create new capacity. You can literally train your brain to think differently, feel differently, respond differently, expect differently, and over time that training becomes identity. Not because you forced it, but because you conditioned it. Let's make it practical. Step 1. Identify your dominant loops. What thought or behavior patterns repeat daily, without conscious intent? These are your default modes. Common loops include, this won't work. I'm not ready yet. People don't get me. It's too late. You're not choosing these thoughts, but you're rehearsing them. And the brain doesn't care if a thought is empowering or disempowering. It only cares if it's repeated. Step 2. Interrupt the signal. When you notice the loop, pause. Don't argue with the thought. Don't shame it. Just observe it and insert a pattern disruptor. Disruptors could be a question, is this actually true? A breath, slow, deep, grounding. A physical shift, standing, shaking, movement. A new sentence, that was the old code. I'm updating. Each interruption weakens the neural path. Step 3. Install the upgrade. Now feed your brain a new loop, one that reflects the version of you you're becoming. Not with empty affirmations, but with believable, progressive statements. Instead of "I am rich," try "I'm learning how to receive and manage more." "I'm building the capacity to hold abundance." "I'm becoming someone who trusts stability." Then practice the feeling. Visualize it. Speak it. Feel the shift in your body. That combination, belief, emotion, repetition, is what forges a new neural groove. Step 4. Attach behavior. Neurons that fire together wire together. If you want to change a pattern, pair the new belief with a consistent action. Doesn't need to be big, but it must be aligned. If you're rewiring for calm, practice stillness for 3 minutes. If you're rewiring for confidence, speak up once a day. If you're rewiring for focus, set a 10-minute timer and complete one thing. Every repetition strengthens the signal. Every signal changes the structure. And eventually, you no longer try to be that new version. You just are, because your brain caught up. And here's the quantum connection. As you rewire the physical structure of your mind, you're not just changing behavior. You're changing the signal your body broadcasts. You become a different frequency. And as we've already explored in this series, your frequency dictates what you notice, attract, and experience. So when your brain changes, your reality starts to follow. That's not wishful thinking. That's feedback. But it only works when you're consistent. You don't get new pathways from trying something once. You get them from reinforcement, from showing up again and again until the new circuit is stronger than the old one. At that point, the effort drops. The new response becomes natural. The new version of you feels real. Because it is. You built it. So if you're still telling yourself that people don't change, that identity is locked, that old patterns are forever, that trauma is destiny, pause. Look at the science. Look at your own brain's ability to adapt, reroute, and grow. Look at the small wins that felt hard once but are automatic now. You're not static. You're sculptable. And the tool you're holding is repetition with emotional clarity. Use it intentionally, because your brain is always learning. The only question is, what are you teaching it to become? What's siphoning your energy, and how can you seal the holes in your reality? You wake up tired, even after a full night's sleep. You feel unmotivated, even though you know exactly what you want. You keep doing the work, but feel like you're getting nowhere. It's not always because you're doing too much. It's often because you're leaking energy. Not physical energy, but quantum energy. The subtle power that fuels your focus, magnetism, clarity, and direction. And most people are leaking it without realizing it. Just like a house with hidden cracks loses heat and raises the electric bill, you're expending massive internal resources to maintain beliefs, patterns, and emotional loops that are no longer aligned with who you say you want to be. This is why burnout happens, even when you're just thinking. This is why fatigue shows up, even when you haven't moved your body. Because your subconscious consumes energy. It burns power maintaining your identity, protecting your wounds, and sustaining unresolved fear loops. Let's get clear. You don't lose energy because of what you're doing. You lose energy because of what you're resisting, avoiding, or unconsciously carrying. These are your leaks, and they show up in very specific ways. 1. Mental overprocessing. When you keep replaying conversations, decisions, or imagined scenarios, you're burning mental fuel without gaining clarity. The leak, your system is trying to solve an emotional discomfort with thought. But thought doesn't heal emotion. It just circles it. 2. Unspoken truths. When you bite your tongue, suppress your opinion, or withhold your real needs, you're not protecting peace, you're draining it. The leak. Suppression creates internal conflict. Your subconscious keeps running a background process to monitor the tension. 3. Emotional hoarding. You're carrying guilt from years ago, resentment you never voiced, regret you've normalized. The leak. Unfelt emotion equals frozen energy. It locks part of your awareness in the past, draining the present. 4. Incongruent action. You say you want change, but you keep repeating the same habits, staying in the same places, entertaining the same dynamics. The leak. Energetic contradiction. Your field splits between the identity you're performing and the one you desire. That tension burns power. 5. Open loops and unfinished cycles. Projects you've started and abandoned. Commitments you haven't kept. Boundaries you haven't reinforced. The leak. Your attention is fragmented. Each unclosed loop holds a piece of your energy hostage. And here's the critical truth. The universe doesn't respond to words. It responds to frequency. If your field is full of static, of contradictions, suppressions, and unconscious leaks, your manifestations stall. Not because you're unworthy, but because your signal is too disorganized to transmit clearly. So how do you seal the leaks? Not with effort, not with hustle, but with alignment. Start here. Step 1. Audit your field. Ask yourself, what am I constantly thinking about but not acting on? What am I avoiding emotionally? What truth have I been unwilling to say? What pattern am I pretending doesn't drain me? Let the answers surface without shame. This isn't judgment, it's data. Step 2. Choose one leak and close it. Don't try to fix everything. Pick the biggest drain and address it directly. That might mean speaking the truth you've avoided, finishing the task you've left hanging, grieving what you never let yourself fully feel, letting go of something you're still trying to force. When you close even one loop, your system gets a rush of clarity. Energy returns. Power returns. Direction returns. Step 3. Rebuild coherence. Coherence means your thoughts, emotions, and actions are aligned. It's the opposite of leaking, it's focusing. Start practicing small, honest alignments. Say what you mean. Do what you promised. Feel what's real, not just what's easy. Rest without guilt. Act without force. Your subconscious reads this as safety. And when your system feels safe, you stop hemorrhaging energy trying to survive. You start generating energy by simply being who you truly are. Step 4. Protect your field like it's sacred. Because it is. Don't just focus on what drains you, also reinforce what fuels you. Environments that calm you. Conversations that expand you. Practices that ground you. Choices that reflect your actual desires. The cleaner your field, the stronger your broadcast. The stronger your broadcast, the faster your reality responds. This is not about perfection. It's about energetic integrity. Because when your field is aligned, even subtle thoughts gain power. Even small actions trigger momentum. Even quiet intentions begin to magnetize results. That's quantum efficiency. You're not trying harder. You're wasting less. And as the leaks seal, you'll realize you were never too tired. You were never too late. You were never too blocked. You were just scattered. And now you're becoming whole. Are you unknowingly living out someone else's story archetype? You think you're making choices. You think you're living your life based on your goals, your past, your personality. But what if much of what you're doing, your patterns, fears, desires, even the people you attract, is being shaped by an identity script you didn't consciously write? What if your subconscious has adopted an archetype, and you've been playing out that character's journey on loop? Here's the revelation. Every human carries internal archetypes. They're not roles we play. They're energetic blueprints, universal stories imprinted in the collective unconscious, influencing how we see ourselves, others, and the world. And unless you've consciously updated the archetype running your subconscious, it's likely that you're living inside someone else's story structure, not your own. Let's go deeper. An archetype isn't a personality test. It's not a label. It's a field of expectation and behavior that subtly instructs how you show up in your reality. The hero must prove worth. The victim waits to be saved. The rebel fights every system. The caregiver sacrifices their needs. The sage watches from the sidelines. These patterns aren't wrong. But when you're stuck inside one without realizing it, they limit your quantum potential. Why? Because archetypes are magnetic. Each one pulls specific experiences, people, and challenges into your life to keep the story running. And your subconscious is loyal to the character it believes you are. So, even if you say you want freedom, if your subconscious has attached to the martyr archetype, you'll unconsciously choose sacrifice. If you say you want abundance, but you've been running the orphan archetype, you'll sabotage it because abundance doesn't feel like your story. This is why surface-level mindset work often fails. You're not just changing thoughts. You're trying to shift narratives without changing the character who's living them. So here's the question. Which archetype is steering your subconscious right now? Let's explore a few core ones. The hero, constant striving, always on a quest, drawn to struggle, deep fear of not enough. The victim feels powerless, believes things happen to them, often stuck in cycles of blame or despair. The caregiver puts others first, avoids receiving, finds identity in being needed. The rebel fights against control, defines self in opposition, values freedom over stability. The innocent avoids responsibility, clings to idealism, believes someone will rescue them. The sage observes but doesn't engage, trusts intellect more than intuition. The magician transforms reality, uses intention, balances logic with the mystical. Now pause. Which of these patterns do you resonate with, not as an idea, but as a default mode of operating? That's your dominant archetype. And here's the shift. You can choose a new one, not to pretend, not to bypass, but to upgrade the subconscious identity that your quantum field responds to. Here's how. Step 1. Name the current archetype. Get radically honest. What character do you slip into under pressure? What story are you trying to complete? What emotional tone dominates your self-perception? Step 2. Trace the origin. When did this role begin? Childhood? A relationship? A failure? Often, the archetype forms when a part of you made a decision. This is who I must be to survive. Step 3. Acknowledge the gifts. Every archetype has a shadow and a gift. Don't shame the pattern, extract the wisdom. What strength did you develop through this story? Step 4. Choose the upgrade. Pick a new archetype, one that aligns with your current level of awareness. This is not about fantasy, it's about resonance. Want to move from caregiver to queen? From victim to creator? From hero to magician? Pick the identity that reflects the energy you're now ready to embody. Step 5. Install through repetition and emotion. Begin to practice the new role. Speak from it. Visualize it. Feel into its posture, voice, rhythm. Affirm with presence. I create. I do not chase. I lead with grace, not guilt. I allow, I don't perform. I embody power, not permission. Let your nervous system normalize this identity through daily emotional rehearsal. This isn't fake it till you make it. It's align until it feels real. Because here's what changes. Your decisions become cleaner. Your boundaries become automatic. Your energy becomes magnetized to a different class of experience. Not because you're trying harder, but because you've become a different signal. In quantum terms, identity is frequency, and frequency determines access. The reality you want isn't far, it's just on a different energetic channel. And that channel is locked to the identity you currently broadcast. So if you want new experiences, new relationships, new outcomes, upgrade the archetype, because the universe isn't responding to your wishes. It's responding to your role. Can a single image in your mind alter your world? You've heard about it. Maybe tried it. Visualize your goal. See yourself achieving it. Imagine success. It sounds simple. Too simple. Because in a world trained to trust only what's visible, the idea that your inner imagery could shape outer events seems naive, maybe even foolish. But science, psychology, and quantum theory say otherwise. Your mind does not distinguish between vivid imagination and actual experience. And your body responds to both as if they are real. When you visualize with clarity, emotion, and repetition, you're not daydreaming. You're giving your subconscious a command. You're broadcasting a signal into the quantum field. You're writing instructions into the blueprint that shapes your reality. This is not positive thinking. This is constructive signaling. Let's break it down. The brain runs on patterns. When you imagine yourself speaking with power, feeling abundance, or moving through life as your ideal self, you're rehearsing new neurological and emotional connections. Your neurons begin to fire in new sequences. Your emotions begin to sync with new outcomes. and your field begins to broadcast a new frequency. This frequency is not theoretical. It becomes an instruction to the universe. This is the version of reality I now identify with. And the universe, through synchronicity, resonance, and alignment, begins to respond. But here's what most people get wrong about visualization. They think it's about seeing the future. It's not. It's about experiencing it now, so fully, so vividly, so emotionally, that your subconscious accepts it as your current identity. Because your subconscious doesn't follow logic. It follows familiarity. If abundance feels foreign, it resists it. If confidence feels unsafe, it blocks it. If love feels unreal, it avoids it. So the key to effective visualization isn't just mental clarity. It's emotional rehearsal. Here's how to activate that power. Step 1. Choose a target frequency. Don't just pick an image. Pick an emotional state you want to normalize. Calm confidence, effortless receiving, grounded clarity, magnetic presence. This becomes your core signal. Step 2. Construct the inner scene. Now create a moment, a mental scene where that state is already true. Don't make it abstract. Make it embodied. If you're rehearsing abundance, don't just picture numbers in your bank account. Picture yourself walking into a room feeling relaxed, supported, and unshakably secure. Feel the space, the breath, the posture. If it's confidence, see yourself speaking, moving, or deciding without doubt. Details matter. Sensory input matters. Emotion matters most. Step 3. Feel it until it becomes familiar. This is where most stop short. They picture it once and move on. But to reprogram the subconscious, you must saturate it. Repeat the scene daily, morning and night. Use the same image until your body relaxes into it. Until it no longer feels aspirational, just obvious. Because once the subconscious accepts it as familiar, it stops fighting it. And once resistance drops, magnetism rises. Step 4. Reinforce with action. Now act as if it's already integrating. Not to prove anything. Not to perform, but to stabilize the signal. If you're visualizing peace, then simplify your environment. If you're visualizing expansion, say yes to one bold move. If you're visualizing love, treat yourself with reverence before waiting for someone else to reflect it. Small, aligned actions anchor the internal blueprint into physical time. Step 5. Detach from control, stay in signal. You're not visualizing to force reality. You're visualizing to broadcast the correct identity. The form may vary. The timing may shift. But your job is to hold the frequency and trust that the field will organize around it. Because reality is not fixed. It's responsive. It reshapes itself to match your internal command center. So no, it's not just in your head. When you close your eyes, breathe deeply, and generate an emotional experience of your desired state, you are altering your energy field, updating your subconscious, and programming your external life to follow suit. And the effects compound. Day by day, you shift out of reaction and into authorship. You stop waiting for proof and start being the proof. You stop repeating the past and begin imprinting the future. All from a single image, held with clarity, charged with emotion, repeated with certainty. You're not just seeing something, you're summoning it. Is your inner world betraying your goals in secret? You set the intention. You make the plan. You even take action. And then, somehow, quietly, consistently, things fall apart. The opportunity slips. The momentum dies. The progress disappears. It looks like bad luck. Feels like failure. But more often than not, it's subconscious sabotage. Not because you're lazy. Not because you're broken. But because part of you is wired against the very thing you say you want. Let's get precise. The subconscious is not designed to make you happy. It's designed to keep you safe, according to what it learned safety meant in your earliest years. So if success once led to punishment, it equates success with pain. If love meant loss, it equates intimacy with threat. If visibility brought judgment, it equates attention with danger. You're not failing. You're protecting an old identity that your nervous system still thinks is necessary for survival. This is subconscious sabotage. And it's not always loud. It's subtle. sophisticated, deeply loyal to the past. You'll notice it in procrastination you can't explain, avoidance of opportunities that seem aligned, emotional shutdown when things start to go well, self-sabotaging thoughts just before a breakthrough, a strange pull to stay stuck when nothing outside is stopping you. These aren't random. They're clues. Clues that your inner code is still running a program that says, I'm not safe unless I stay small. I'm not lovable unless I suffer. I'm not allowed unless I earn it through pain. And no amount of surface-level action can override a belief that deep. So what do? You stop fighting the sabotage. You decode it. Here's how. Step 1. Spot the pattern. Ask yourself, where do things always stall? What results do I keep avoiding, even though I say I want them? What emotion comes up when I'm close to breakthrough? Your sabotage lives not in your behavior, but in the emotion behind it. Step 2. Ask the deeper question. Instead of, why do I keep messing up? Ask, what is this pattern protecting me from? And wait, don't rush for logic. Listen for a subtle, emotional answer. Often it sounds like, if I succeed, they'll leave. If I relax, I'll be attacked. If I win, I'll be seen and judged. Now you're in the real territory. Now you've found the belief behind the sabotage. Step 3. Validate the source. You don't erase the old belief by mocking it. You honor it because at one time it kept you safe. Speak directly to it. Thank you for protecting me from rejection. Thank you for keeping me small so I wouldn't be hurt. Thank you for making fear feel familiar so I wouldn't be surprised. This isn't about staying stuck in story. It's about giving the belief a closure ceremony. Step 4. Introduce the update. Now you feed your subconscious new truth, gently, repeatedly, emotionally. Replace, success is dangerous with success is safe in my body now. Love equals loss with I can hold love without losing myself. I'm not allowed with I am permitted to receive without proving. Don't force the new belief. Feel into it. Breathe with it. Let your nervous system rehearse it. Step 5. Take a micro-aligned risk. Sabotage loses power when you prove the new belief with experience. So take one small action your old self would have resisted. Say yes to the support. Show up without over-preparing. Let yourself win without apologizing. Each aligned risk reprograms the loop. Not because you pushed through, but because you acted from a new identity. And here's the shift that changes everything. Subconscious sabotage is not your enemy. It's an outdated protector. It's the part of you that loved you by limiting you. But now it's your job to teach it something new. That safety can exist without struggle. That growth can happen without collapse. That you don't need to suffer to earn peace. Because once your subconscious believes that your sabotage ends, your effort stops being a war. Your goals stop being a fight. Your actions become clean, congruent, powerful. And that version of you is no longer resisting their future. They're allowing it. What happens when you say, I am? You might be summoning realities. 2 simple words. I am. You use them every day without thinking. I am tired. I am not ready. I am trying. I am stuck. I am overwhelmed. But in the quantum realm, those words aren't casual. They are commands. They're not describing who you are. They're creating who you are. And the moment you speak, I am, you're not just expressing a thought. You're broadcasting a frequency. You're defining your identity. You're shaping the lens through which reality will now organize itself around you. Here's what most don't realize. Identity is not a conclusion. It's a creative force. And I am is its activation key. Whatever follows those 2 words becomes your signal. And in the quantum field, signal determines experience. This isn't metaphor. This is energetic architecture. Let's make this clear. If you say, I am stuck, your subconscious receives it as truth. It filters out solutions. It overlooks movement. It rewires behavior to confirm stuckness. If you say, I am unworthy, even silently, your energetic field shrinks. You avoid opportunities. You distort love. You unconsciously repel abundance, because unworthiness is incompatible with reception. Your words don't just describe your state, they program it. And that programming becomes physical, emotional, and observable. So every I am you repeat, whether in thought or speech, is a declaration to the universe, and to your own system of what to reinforce. But here's the shift. You can take command of that phrase. You can use it not to mirror your current circumstance, but to install your chosen identity even before the evidence shows up. This is the quantum path. You start with frequency. You declare it as real. You feel it until it takes root. And then reality aligns, not because you forced it, but because you became magnetic to it. Here's how to harness the power of I am consciously. Step 1. Audit your current identity statements. What do you habitually say, out loud or silently, about yourself? Notice the patterns. I am too sensitive. I am bad at consistency. I am always overwhelmed. I am not someone who gets chosen. These aren't facts. They're loops, and they've been reinforcing themselves through repetition. Start by naming them. Then question, do I want this to be true tomorrow? If not, it's time to release the signal. Step 2. Choose a new identity frequency. Don't just pick a positive affirmation. Choose a true energetic upgrade, something that expands, not performs. Instead of, I am rich, which may trigger disbelief, try, I am becoming someone who trusts their abundance. I am aligned with growing wealth and peace. Instead of, I am fearless, try, I am safe to move forward, even with fear. I am steady in change. These statements feel real, and your subconscious can work with them. Step 3. Speak it into your nervous system. Say it slowly, then pause. Breathe. Feel it. Let the words settle in your body, not just your mind. Don't rush to believe them. Let them soak into familiarity. Repeat daily, not to convince, but to rewire. Your subconscious doesn't respond to volume. It responds to consistency and emotion. Step 4. Anchor with behavior. Your I am statements become unshakable when they're followed by action. If you say, I am aligned with clarity, then make one clear decision. If you say, I am a receiver of support, then say yes the next time it's offered. Tiny actions create massive alignment, not because they prove the words are true, but because they signal to your subconscious, this is who we are now. Step 5. Watch for reality feedback. When you consistently embody a new I am, the field responds. New people show up. Old patterns fade. Unexpected momentum appears. It's not magic. It's coherence. You're no longer broadcasting contradictions. You're not saying I am free while feeling caged. You're living as the version of you that already holds that truth. And once that happens, reality has no choice but to match. Because in a quantum system, the outer world doesn't lead the inner one. The inner identity writes the outer experience. And I am is the pen. So use it wisely. Use it clearly. Use it as a tool, not a habit. Because every time you say those words, you are not just stating something. You are activating someone. Are the same patterns showing up? Because you're broadcasting the same frequency? You keep meeting the same kind of people. You keep ending up in the same financial situation. You keep feeling the same emotional cycles, no matter how much your environment changes. You start to wonder, why does this keep happening to me? Here's the unsettling truth. It's not the world that's repeating. It's you, or more specifically, your thought loops. Your subconscious mind is an amplifier. It takes whatever thought patterns are most emotionally charged and broadcasts them into your field, over and over. This signal becomes your energetic default. And that signal attracts, shapes, and repeats experiences that match it. These are quantum echoes. Not coincidences. Not punishments. But feedback. Let's break this down. Every thought you have emits a frequency. If that thought is emotionally charged, especially with fear, guilt, shame, or need, it imprints deeply. If it's repeated often, it becomes a loop. And that loop becomes your vibrational baseline. Your thoughts become your field. Your field shapes your perception. And your perception filters your reality. So when you say, I always attract unavailable people, your subconscious isn't just noticing that pattern. It's reaffirming it. It's sending out the frequency that says, this is what I expect, and the universe delivers. It's not personal. It's pattern. So how do you break the loop? Not by trying harder, not by chasing new outcomes, but by becoming aware of and interrupting the signal at its source. Let's walk through it. Step 1. Identify the loop. Most loops are disguised as truths. They sound like, I never get what I want. People always take advantage of me. If I relax, things fall apart. No matter what I do, it's not enough. Ask yourself, what thoughts dominate your quiet moments? What beliefs feel so true, they don't even register as optional? Those are the loops. Step 2, find the echo. What events in your life mirror those thoughts? Who keeps showing up to confirm them? What outcomes seem to prove them right? This isn't about blame. It's about recognizing the pattern between your inner signal and outer reality. Once you see the echo, you're no longer just reacting, you're observing. And observation is the first step to change. Step 3, disrupt the rhythm. A loop gains power through repetition. Break the rhythm, break the spell. When the old thought arises, pause. Then speak something radically different, even if you don't fully believe it yet. If the loop says, I'm always the one left behind, you say, I am worth staying for. If the loop says, I can't handle success, you say, I am expanding safely now. The key isn't to feel perfect, it's to feel interruptive. To shift the signal just enough to crack the echo chamber. Step 4. Feel the gap and stay with it. When you interrupt an old loop, you may feel disoriented, like your system doesn't know who you are without that identity. That's a good sign. It means the old frequency is losing its grip. Don't rush to fill the space. Let it be quiet. Let the system recalibrate. This is where new identity has room to download. Step 5. Feed the field a new loop. Now consciously install a new thought pattern. Not a fantasy, a resonant upgrade. If the old loop was, I always mess things up, the upgrade isn't, I'm perfect. It's, I make aligned choices more and more each day. If the loop was, I'm not supported, the upgrade is, support is allowed here now. Repeat this, feel this, act from this, and most importantly, notice the new echoes. Watch how people respond differently, how opportunities arrive from new directions, how your own choices begin to reflect a different self-concept. This is quantum feedback. Your new thought is now shaping your field, and your field is shaping your timeline. Here's what most miss. You don't have to fix every thought. You just have to stop worshiping the old ones. Stop treating them like gospel. Stop rehearsing them like mantras. Stop letting them define who you are and what you're allowed to experience. Because the loop only survives if you keep feeding it. And the moment you shift your loyalty to a higher thought, you begin to collapse the old echo. You begin to create a new signal. You begin to live outside the loop. And that's when freedom starts to feel normal. What if déjà vu isn't memory, but foresight? You've felt it before. That eerie sensation that you've been here before. That you already knew how a moment would unfold before it did. That a decision, a room, a conversation felt strangely remembered. We call it déjà vu. We dismiss it as a glitch in the brain. But what if it's something more? What if it's not the past repeating, but the future leaking in? This is the edge of what quantum thinkers, mystics, and forward-leaning neuroscientists have long proposed. That time is not linear to the subconscious. That memory can be forward-facing. And that your inner world can access not only what was, but what will be. Let's slow this down. Your conscious mind lives inside clock time, seconds, hours, days. But your subconscious isn't bound by chronology. It's a frequency-based processor. It sorts experience not by sequence, but by resonance. And here's where it gets wild. If every possible future already exists as a potential in the quantum field, and your subconscious is tuned to pick up frequencies, then it is entirely possible that you're feeling into a memory of something that hasn't happened yet. Not fantasy, not imagination, but a pre-experienced timeline trying to register as real. Here's what that could look like. You have a random idea that feels intensely vivid, like a memory. You meet someone new and feel instantly familiar. You act on intuition that has no logical foundation, but leads you exactly where you needed to go. These aren't accidents. They're imprints from potential futures that already exist energetically, just not yet physically. Your subconscious picked up the signal, and your body tried to translate it as memory. But because we're taught to dismiss what we can't measure, you ignore the guidance. And with it, you ignore the pathway to the timeline you were meant to align with. So the question becomes, how do you learn to work with future memory on purpose? How do you shift from reacting to déjà vu to activating it as a tool of creation? Here's how. Step 1. Recognize the signature. Future memory feels different from fantasy. It's not excited or idealistic. It's calm, neutral, yet deeply certain. You won't feel like you're making something up. You'll feel like you're remembering something important, like you already were it, already knew it, already lived it. Start paying attention to that feeling. It's not imagination. It's a download. Step 2. Track the trail. When these flashes come, write them down. What were you doing? Who was involved? What was the emotion? These details are breadcrumbs. They form a map of the timeline that's trying to reach you. Often, the mind will try to dismiss them, but the more you document, the more patterns you'll start to see. This is your personal quantum forecast. Step 3. Reverse engineer your alignment. If your subconscious has touched a future memory, ask yourself, what version of me already lives this? Then begin to shift your present behavior, decisions, and focus to match that version. You don't need to know the whole path. You just need to sync to the state that would make that outcome obvious. Future memory is not predictive. It's invitational. You're not being told what will happen. You're being shown what's available if you tune yourself to it. Step 4. Test and validate. Choose one memory of a future that felt clear. Now take one small action as if it were real. If you remembered yourself speaking confidently on stage, practice that energy today. If you saw yourself in a peaceful home, start making one change that matches that environment. As you act in alignment with the memory, you collapse time. You draw the potential closer. You begin to magnetize that timeline into your physical now. And the field responds. Step 5. Hold the timeline gently. Here's the paradox. The more you cling to a future memory, the more you distort it. This is not about control. It's about recognition. You're not trying to force it into reality. You're allowing it to inform your identity, which in turn shapes your field. Think of future memory as a whisper from your quantum self. A subtle nudge saying, "This is possible. You've already been here. Let it unfold." No need to obsess. Just live in sync with the version of you who already remembers. So the next time you feel déjà vu, don't brush it off. Ask, what is this showing me about who I'm becoming? What timeline is trying to come online? What must I release to step into this fully? Because your subconscious doesn't just store what happened. It stores what's aligned, past, present, and yes, future. And once you learn to work with that, you stop chasing goals. You start remembering destinies. Could your thoughts be infected or uplifted by a shared mental field? You think your thoughts are yours. You assume your beliefs are based on your experiences. You feel confident that your inner world is shaped only by your personal past. But what if that's only part of the story? What if you are not just thinking your thoughts, but tuning into a global mental field, a kind of shared subconscious that contains the fears, beliefs, patterns, and archetypes of all humanity? This is the collective subconscious. Not theory, not mysticism. A real, measurable, energetic phenomenon that affects your inner reality every single day. Carl Jung called it the collective unconscious. Modern consciousness studies refer to it as the morphic field, a kind of psychic internet that connects us all at the subconscious level. Think of it like this. Your personal subconscious is the hard drive. But the collective subconscious is the cloud. And whether you realize it or not, you're connected to it. That means you're not just carrying your own programming. You're also feeling, filtering, and sometimes suffering from shared human patterns. Fear of scarcity, fear of abandonment, fear of unworthiness, fear of stepping out of the tribe. Even if you've never personally experienced a specific trauma or limitation, your system may still reflect it, because the code lives in the collective field. And if you never question it, you may live out a reality that was never truly yours. Let that settle in. The anxiety might not be yours. The imposter syndrome might not be yours. The resistance to expansion might not be yours. But if you don't recognize it, your subconscious will treat it as your identity, and your quantum field will respond accordingly. So how do you know when you're plugged into the collective? And more importantly, how do you stop it from running your life? Let's walk through it. Step 1. Notice when you feel disproportionate. Ever feel a sudden wave of sadness, fear, or hopelessness with no obvious trigger? That's a signal. You might be tuning in to collective emotion, because the subconscious doesn't have a firewall. If your personal resonance matches a frequency in the collective field, your system becomes a receiver. Ask, does this actually belong to me? When did I first feel this? And does it match my own lived experience? Who else around me might be broadcasting this frequency? This isn't blame. It's awareness. And awareness is your first layer of energetic hygiene. Step 2. Detach from the tribe narrative. Much of the collective subconscious is tribal. It says, stay safe, don't outshine, belong before you become. If you succeed too much, you'll lose connection. These are not just ideas. They are ancient survival codes embedded in the human psyche. But in a quantum reality, these codes are outdated. You must ask, what beliefs do I carry because they made me belong? Then choose. Am I willing to be misaligned with the group? To be aligned with myself? Because true freedom means releasing not just personal limits, but collective ones too. Step 3. Clear the field daily. You clear your inbox. You clear your house. Clear your energetic field. A simple practice. Sit in stillness. Breathe slowly. Say, anything that is not mine, leave now. Anything that does not belong, be released. I am sovereign in my energy. Then visualize light pouring through you, washing out the static. This sounds simple, but the effect on your subconscious can be profound. It teaches your system what's yours and what's not. Step 4. Intentionally tune into empowered frequencies. The collective subconscious isn't just heavy. It also holds elevated codes. Innovation, compassion, wisdom, abundance. These are in the cloud, too. You just need to tune in. How? By focusing your attention on ideas, voices, and images that carry these signals. When you read a powerful book, when you sit with someone who lives from a higher frequency, when you visualize a world that operates from love instead of fear, you begin to sync your subconscious with a new stream, and that new stream affects what you attract, notice, and manifest. Step 5. Become a clean signal. You're not just affected by the collective. You affect it. Your field transmits. So every time you heal a belief, every time you override an old code, every time you live in your truth instead of a collective fear, you're not just freeing yourself. You're updating the field. You become a cleaner signal, a clearer mirror, a transmitter of what's possible. And others, consciously or not, feel it. Their own subconscious begins to adjust. Reality begins to shift. This is how one person truly does make a difference. Not through control, but through resonance. So ask yourself now, am I living from my truth or from a download I never agreed to? Because in the quantum model, thoughts are not private. Fields are not isolated. And reality responds not to personal will, but to collective coherence. Choose your frequency carefully. And remember, you are not just a user of the subconscious cloud. You're one of its programmers. Are you doing all the right things but still blocked? Here's why. You've read the books. You've watched the videos. You've written your intentions, scripted your desires, spoken your affirmations. And yet, nothing moves. No shifts. No signs. No breakthrough. You look around and others seem to make it look effortless. Their vision boards become reality. Their intentions seem to materialize on cue. And the thought creeps in, is something wrong with me? Am I missing something? Why isn't it working? This is the moment where many give up. But not because manifestation doesn't work. Because they're following myths, surface-level instructions that miss the depth of how quantum creation actually operates. Let's break through the noise and get to the root. Manifestation is not magic. It's not about thinking positively hard enough. It's not about forcing the universe to obey your wishes. It's about becoming a clear, coherent transmitter of a frequency that already matches the reality you're trying to experience. And if that reality isn't showing up, it's not failure. It's feedback. Let's unravel the most common myths and show you what actually works. Myth number 1. If I just want it badly enough, I'll get it. This is one of the fastest paths to stagnation, because desire without identity creates distance. When you want something intensely but subconsciously feel separate from it, you reinforce lack. You're emitting the frequency of absence, not arrival. The shift. Focus less on how much you want the thing, and more on how deeply you're willing to become the version of you who naturally experiences it. Because your field doesn't respond to craving. It responds to alignment. Myth number 2. I'm blocked because I'm doing something wrong. This one traps people in endless loops of fixing themselves. You're not blocked because you're flawed. You're blocked because part of your subconscious identity is still wired to resist what you say you want. That resistance isn't sabotage, it's protection. You must ask, what part of me doesn't feel safe receiving this? What part of me fears being seen, successful, or free? Bring compassion, not force. Then update the belief not to deserve it, but to allow it. Myth number 3. Visualization and scripting are enough. They're useful, but only when backed by embodiment. You can picture abundance all day, but if your nervous system is still bracing for collapse, you're broadcasting fear. You can script your perfect relationship, but if you reject your own needs, your field is still transmitting unavailability. Mental techniques are the beginning, but embodiment, how you breathe, walk, speak, decide, is what completes the signal. You must feel it as already normal, or the field won't mirror it back. Myth number 4. The universe will give me what I ask for. Not quite. The universe doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you're a match for. This isn't about worthiness. It's about resonance. Your life reflects your most consistent frequency, not your conscious wish list. So stop asking, why don't I have it yet? Start asking, what am I consistently signaling through my beliefs, my choices, and my emotional tone? What story is my energy telling? Because that's the story the field is listening to. Myth number 5. Manifestation is supposed to feel good all the time. Nope. Often, the manifestation process brings up everything that contradicts the new frequency. Old wounds, outdated beliefs, unhealed stories. This is not a sign to quit. It's a sign that your system is recalibrating. Real manifestation isn't always light and blissful. Sometimes it's uncomfortable, because you're disassembling the self that created the old timeline. Let the discomfort be part of the work. So what actually works? Let's simplify. 1. Clarity. Know what you want and define it as a state, not just a thing. Ask, what would it feel like if this were already part of my life? 2. Coherence. Make sure your thoughts, emotions, and actions are aligned with that state. No contradiction. No desperate energy. No forced belief. 3. Repetition. Your subconscious responds to familiarity. Make the feeling of the new reality normal, not exciting. It becomes real when it becomes boring but embodied. 4. Detachment. Let go of the outcome timeline. Attachment emits anxiety. Trust emits power. 5. Action. Take aligned steps. Not just big leaps, but micro moves that reinforce your chosen identity. Live as if the shift has already occurred. And here's the final truth most never say out loud. You are always manifesting. It's not something you do. It's what you are, every moment, every thought, every breath. The question is not, how do I manifest? The question is, what am I manifesting by default? And am I ready to choose differently? Because once you stop chasing techniques and start embodying truth, you stop waiting for reality to catch up. You become the source. Can light alone unlock the dark corners of your quantum field? It sounds beautiful. Stay high vibe. Just focus on the positive. Light and love is all you need. You've heard these phrases over and over. They flood social media, fill self-help books, echo in spiritual communities. And while there's truth in keeping your frequency elevated, there's also a danger, avoiding your shadow. This is what we call spiritual bypassing, the attempt to jump over discomfort, pain, or trauma by pretending everything is fine, even when it isn't. And in the realm of quantum transformation, bypassing isn't harmless. The sabotage wearing a smile, because your subconscious isn't fooled by affirmations. Your field doesn't respond to denial. The universe doesn't deliver results based on what you pretend to feel. It responds to your core frequency, including the parts of you you've buried, hidden, or tried to outshine with light. So the question becomes, are you really doing inner work, or are you just layering light on top of wounds? Let's go deeper. The cost of bypassing. When you skip over your shadow, you don't heal it, you store it. And stored pain becomes emotional numbness, manifestation blocks, repeating life patterns, a spiritual identity that feels hollow beneath the surface. Bypassing says, don't think negative thoughts, only focus on love. You're creating this reality, so don't attract bad things. But this kind of thinking creates shame around being human, punishes you for feeling. It silences necessary healing, and it keeps you stuck in a performance of spirituality instead of the practice of transformation. Quantum truth is inclusive. Quantum work isn't about light washing your pain. It's about becoming a clear channel, and that requires cleaning out what distorts your field. And distortion isn't always loud. It's subtle. It hides in fear you won't admit, anger you've repressed, grief you haven't honored, old identities you haven't released. Ignoring these doesn't raise your frequency. It splits your signal. Your subconscious knows what's unresolved. And until you face it, your energy will reflect contradiction, no matter how many affirmations you say. So what's the real work? It's not just about thinking high. It's about being honest. Here's what that looks like. Step 1. Allow what arises. When emotion comes up, especially the ones labeled low, don't run. Don't reframe it too quickly. Don't numb it with positivity. Sit with it. Feel it. Let it speak. Ask, what are you trying to show me? This isn't indulgence. It's intelligence. Your pain holds data, and when acknowledged, it unlocks energy that's been frozen in time. Step 2. Drop the performance. You don't have to be enlightened to be powerful. You don't have to act peaceful to be aligned. You don't have to pretend to be healed before you're ready. You are allowed to be in process. That's where the actual quantum shifts begin. Because nothing repels clarity more than spiritual pretending. And nothing creates momentum faster than energetic integrity. Step 3. Integrate the shadow. True shadow work isn't fixing yourself. It's bringing light into forgotten rooms. It's saying, I see the part of me that feels broken, and I stay. I feel the anger, and I don't weaponize or suppress it. I remember what hurt, and I bring love there, not silence. This doesn't make you less spiritual. It makes you whole. And wholeness is what the quantum field responds to. Step 4. Update the identity from truth, not ideal. After you feel it, after you face it, after you honor the shadow, then and only then do you speak a new reality. Not as an escape, but as a conscious choice. Now you can say, I am safe. I am powerful. I am ready. Not because you're ignoring the pain, but because you've transmuted it. Step 5. Redefine light. Light is not pretending everything is okay. Light is the clarity that comes when you face the dark without flinching. The real work isn't always light, but when it's real, it creates a light that is undeniable. one that doesn't need to be shouted, one that doesn't fear shadows, one that radiates without trying. That is what the field responds to. Not forced positivity, but embodied truth. So if you've been wondering why your manifestations stall, why you don't feel fully yourself, why something still feels off despite all the work, check your shadow. Ask yourself, am I spiritually expressing or spiritually avoiding? Because the light you're seeking isn't out there. It's behind the door you've been afraid to open. And when you finally open it, you'll realize the dark never had power. It was just waiting to be witnessed. What if your pain is the portal to your power? There's a wound you never talk about, a story you buried because it hurt too much to hold, an ache in your body that flares up when things start to go right, as if part of you doesn't believe you're allowed to thrive. That's not weakness. That's unprocessed energy. And in quantum terms, it's potential waiting to be transformed. Most people treat trauma as something to avoid, suppress, or endlessly cope with. But what if your trauma wasn't just something that happened to you? What if it's raw fuel, waiting to be transmuted into clarity, strength, and alignment? This is the heart of subconscious alchemy, turning your most painful experiences into the energetic power source for your most expansive reality. Let's get clear. Trauma isn't just the event. It's what your subconscious did to survive it. It's the beliefs you formed, the identity you built, the reality you created to stay safe. And unless that code is updated, you're still living by rules written during moments of pain. So you try to manifest love, but deep down you don't trust it. You try to create abundance, but your system is wired for scarcity and self-sacrifice. You try to rise, but your subconscious whispers, "That's dangerous. You're not broken. You're still running old survival software. And that software is eating your quantum power." But here's the breakthrough. Trauma is frozen energy. It's not just pain, it's power that got trapped. And when you learn to face it with precision, care, and consciousness, you unlock energy you didn't even know you had. This is the essence of alchemy. Not escape, not erasure, transmutation. Step 1. Identify the core wound that's still running the show. Start with the repeating pattern. What part of life always feels blocked? Where do you shrink, sabotage, or spin out? What do you fear will always happen again? Then trace it back. What was the original moment early in life when this belief began? What did you decide about yourself or the world to survive that moment? This is your core wound. Not to relive, but to reclaim. Step 2. Locate the survival identity. Once the wound formed, your subconscious created a version of you to protect it. This might sound like the overachiever, the invisible one, the fixer, the caretaker, the one who doesn't need anything, the always strong one. These are not your true self. They're adaptations. They helped you survive, but now they're limiting your expansion. Acknowledge them, thank them, then give yourself permission to retire them. Step 3. Extract the energy from the pain. This is where the alchemy begins. Ask, what strength did I develop because of this pain? What sensitivity, awareness, or gift emerged through this experience? How did this challenge sculpt the very power I now need? This isn't romanticizing trauma. It's reclaiming ownership. Pain doesn't give you power. Your response to pain does. And once you see the gold buried in the ashes, you shift from victim to creator. Step 4. Rewire the belief. That original moment created a belief, often something like, I'm not safe. I'm not lovable. If I open up, I'll be hurt. I don't matter. Now you consciously install the opposite signal. Not just in words, but in frequency. I am safe to receive. I matter without performance. I can trust joy to stay. Say it, feel it, act from it. Rewire the neural pathways. Recode the emotional reflexes. Reclaim the authority your wound once held. Step 5. Use the transmuted energy to fuel your expansion. Now that the trapped energy has been released, ask, where can I channel this power? Maybe it becomes creative force, emotional depth, magnetic empathy, intuitive guidance, relentless clarity. Your trauma no longer defines you. It now drives you from the back seat, not the wheel. This is true quantum evolution. Here's the final shift. You are not meant to escape your shadow. You are meant to refine it into signal, into wisdom, into frequency. Subconscious alchemy doesn't erase the past. It ends its power over your future. So stop running. Turn and face the part of you that still flinches. Then say, I'm not afraid of this anymore. I've mined the lesson. I've claimed the power. I'm no longer coded by survival. I'm designed for expansion. And with that, you don't just heal. You activate a new field. Can you switch lives like changing channels on a TV? You've had flashes of it. Moments where you thought, I could have taken that other path. A life where you said yes instead of no. Moved instead of stayed. Chose passion instead of fear. You feel it sometimes, like a parallel version of yourself is still out there, living a different script. That feeling? It might not be just imagination. According to the multiverse model in quantum theory, every possible outcome already exists in a parallel dimension. Every choice branches reality. Every path you didn't take still exists. And your mind is not limited to this one timeline. It's tuned to the multiverse. This means that every version of you, the bold one, the wealthy one, the healed one, the lost one, is real, existing as a vibrational thread in the quantum web. And here's where it gets wild. Your subconscious may already be tapping into these alternate lives. Dreams, déjà vu, instinctive feelings, they could be memory fragments of experiences happening right now, in a reality just beyond your current frequency. You're not stuck in one self. You're tuned into one signal at a time, and you can switch. So how do you shift timelines consciously? Not by traveling anywhere physically, but by matching the frequency of a different self. Let's break it down. Step 1. Accept that possibility is not fantasy. This is the first mental unlock. You don't have to believe in the multiverse like a religion. You just have to accept this truth. Who you are is not fixed. Your identity is a streaming channel. You are not changing the you you've always been. You're tuning in to a version of you that already exists on another frequency. The more emotionally real that version feels, the faster the shift can occur. Step 2. Identify the version you want to access. Be precise. Don't say the rich me or the happy me. Ask, what does this version do that I don't? What beliefs do they hold? What energy do they live from? How do they respond to conflict, challenge, or praise? Now you have a clear energetic signature to connect with. Step 3. Use internal dialogue to collapse the gap. Start speaking as the alternate self. Not in future tense now. Examples. I trust myself completely. I no longer second guess. I express my ideas clearly and people listen. Money flows because I've removed the need to chase it. As you speak, feel it. Your subconscious needs emotion to make it real. Repeat it until your nervous system stops rejecting it. That's when the shift begins. Step 4. Make one micro choice from the new frequency. Ask, what would that version of me do right now? Then do it without needing certainty or perfection. Maybe it's saying no without guilt, starting the project you've put off, showing up confidently in a room where you used to shrink. Each micro-choice tells the field, I've changed frequency. The field responds not to your words, but to your coherence. Step 5. Let go of proof, stay in vibration. This is the paradox. If you keep checking whether the new reality has shown up, you're signaling doubt. You're anchoring back into the old identity. Instead, trust the shift has already occurred. Keep choosing in alignment with the new self. Let reality catch up, it always does. You're not hoping anymore. You're matching. And when your signal stabilizes, quantum entanglement pulls the new world into view. So what does this all mean? It means you're not trapped, not broken, not late, just tuned in to one version of many. And if that version doesn't serve you anymore, change the station, not by wishing, but by becoming. Because you don't need to search for the version of you who's powerful, free, and whole. They already exist, right now, in another field, waiting for you to sync. What ancient practices actually unlock modern quantum doors? You light a candle. You say a phrase. You move your body in a familiar pattern. To an outside observer, it may look simple, even meaningless. But something in you changes. Your focus sharpens. Your energy settles. Your sense of intention deepens. This is no coincidence. This is ritual, and in the quantum realm, it's not just symbolic. It's functional. It's how you anchor your reality. Let's be direct. You are a field of energy, broadcasting signals, receiving feedback, and collapsing potential timelines into lived experience. But here's the challenge. Most people live in a scattered state. Their thoughts, emotions, and actions are misaligned. They say one thing, feel another, and act from habit. And that inconsistency confuses the quantum field. This is where rituals come in. A ritual is not superstition. It's a deliberate energetic anchor that aligns your inner frequency with a specific intention. So clearly, so consistently, that it becomes magnetic. And the result? You create an environment, both internal and external, where dimensional shifts become easier, faster, and more sustainable. Let's unpack how and why this works. What is a quantum anchor? A quantum anchor is any repeated act that locks a specific emotional or energetic state into your body, reinforces a chosen identity, signals a shift in timeline to your subconscious. Could be as simple as saying a certain phrase with full presence, touching an object you've infused with meaning, taking a breath and moving with deliberate energy, lighting incense and visualizing a new reality locking in. These aren't magic tricks. They're tools of neural and energetic entrainment. They teach your system how to stabilize in the new frequency. Why rituals work in the quantum field. Your subconscious learns through repetition and emotion. It needs a reason to believe the new identity you're claiming. And that reason doesn't come from logic. It comes from embodied pattern. When you perform a ritual repeatedly, especially with emotional engagement, you carve a groove in the energetic field. A groove that says, this is real now, this is who I am. And the more real it feels to your nervous system, the more the field responds in kind. Step 1. Define the frequency you want to anchor. Start with clarity. Ask, what is the version of me I'm stepping into? What emotion, belief, and energy state does that self live from? Examples: calm, certain leadership, open-hearted love without fear, wealth without hustle, vitality without force. Now choose a simple physical gesture, phrase, or object that will symbolize that frequency. Step 2. Build the ritual with intention. You don't need robes or moon phases. You need presence. Example rituals: lighting a candle every morning while affirming a new identity, touching your heart and saying, I am safe and ready, before every big choice, breathing deeply and repeating a phrase every time fear arises, placing a crystal or token on your desk that reminds you of your chosen frequency. Whatever it is, make it sacred through repetition. It's not what the act is. It's what it means to you energetically. Step 3. Perform it in key transition moments. Rituals are most powerful at thresholds. Before bed, to imprint the subconscious. Upon waking, to prime the signal. Before taking aligned risks, to stabilize courage. During emotional wobbles, to return to center. Each time you perform your ritual during these moments, you're not just managing energy, you're sending a signal to the quantum field that says, I choose this reality now. Step 4. Anchor it physically. The subconscious loves symbols. So use the body. Combine your ritual with posture, sit or stand a certain way. Movement, walk as your next level self would. Touch, press your fingers together, tap your heart, etc. This turns the ritual into a somatic anchor. Now, every time you repeat the movement, the energy follows automatically, no need to think. Step 5. Let the field catch up. Remember, you're not using rituals to force results. You're using them to sustain frequency, and frequency creates experience. So once the ritual is complete, let go. You've done your part. You've encoded the signal. You've entered the reality. Let the timeline respond. Because the more you ritualize your shift, the less you question it. And the less you question it, the more it stabilizes. In a world addicted to chaos, ritual becomes rebellion. In a field full of noise, anchoring becomes power. So stop waiting to feel ready. Start acting as if the shift is done. Use your body, use your voice, use your symbols. Because every time you engage with ritual, you're not just repeating a habit. You're speaking directly to the quantum field. You're saying, "This is my signal now, and I will not forget who I am becoming." Is there a hidden gatekeeper preventing you from breaking free? You're trying to reprogram your mind. You're doing the work. You've set the vision, practiced the tools, committed to the path. And still something pushes back. An invisible resistance. A voice that whispers, "Not yet." A feeling like part of you is guarding a door you can't open. This isn't failure. It's not laziness. It's not sabotage. It's your subconscious guardians doing exactly what they were designed to do. Let's be clear. Your subconscious mind isn't just a passive storehouse of beliefs and patterns. It has protectors, inner mechanisms that filter what gets in and what gets out. These guardians are not villains. They are loyal defenders of your current identity. Their job is to ensure psychological safety, even at the expense of growth. If the new reality feels too risky, if the new belief contradicts a long-held survival strategy, if the new identity threatens to change how others relate to you, they sound the alarm, and the door stays closed. So the key to your next-level self isn't just to push harder. It's to understand who's guarding the gate, and why. Let's break this down. Who or what are the guardians? They show up in subtle forms. Procrastination that feels oddly comforting. Anxiety that spikes when you succeed. Inner voices that echo your parents, teachers, or peers. Emotional shutdown when you get too close to your power. Perfectionism, distraction, fatigue. These are not random. They're protective programs, subconscious patterns meant to keep you in familiar territory. They say, "Stay small, it's safer. Better to anticipate rejection than to risk it." We don't know what happens if you break the pattern, so don't. And until you consciously speak to them, they will keep running the show. Step 1. Identify the guardian pattern. Start with resistance. Ask, when do I pull back from momentum? What thoughts, sensations, or emotions show up right before I expand? What am I always almost ready for? Then name the pattern. Give it a face, a tone, a message. You might find the protector. If you're vulnerable, you'll get hurt. The enforcer. You must earn everything. Nothing comes easily. The inner parent. Don't be too loud or you'll be judged. The skeptic. This is probably not going to work. Naming it brings it out of shadow. And what you bring into the light, you can finally dialogue with. Step 2. Listen without arguing. You don't win by resisting the guardian. You win by understanding it. Sit quietly. Say, "I know you're here to protect me. What are you afraid will happen if I change?" Then listen. You may hear, "You'll be alone. People will leave you. You'll fail and lose everything. You'll become someone you can't come back from." As painful as these fears are, they are also honest. And your subconscious needs to know that you are safe to hold more than one truth at once. Step 3. Reassure and reassign the guardian. You're not removing the guardian. You're giving it a new job. Say something like, "Thank you for trying to keep me safe, but I don't need protection from growth. It's safe now to expand, even if it's unfamiliar. You can help me stay grounded instead of blocking me." This repositions the protector as an ally, not an enemy. And the moment your subconscious believes that safety and transformation can coexist, it will stop rejecting the new frequency. Step 4. Anchor safety in the nervous system. All the understanding in the world won't stick without embodied safety. That means, breathe slowly when fear arises. Speak aloud your readiness, even if your voice shakes. Move your body in ways that express confidence, before your mind catches up. When your body begins to trust the new energy, your subconscious lowers the defenses. Now the guardians relax, the gate creaks open, and you can step through. Step 5. Test the gate, then keep walking. Don't wait to feel 100% ready. Don't expect the guardian to disappear overnight. Take a small, aligned action despite the voice. That action is your declaration. I lead now, not the fear. I choose, not the old story. Each step retrains the guardian. That change can be safe. That growth doesn't mean danger. That the new identity is sustainable. Eventually, the inner resistance stops guarding the door and starts holding it open. So if you've been stuck at the threshold, if you keep circling the same transformation but never cross, stop trying to destroy the part of you that's resisting. Start listening. Start dialoguing. Start leading. Because the subconscious is not your enemy. It's a loyal soldier waiting for new orders. And once the guardian is on your side, nothing stands in your way. What if your highest consciousness existed before you even had language? There was a time before self-doubt, before rules, before fear meant stop, before your worth was measured in grades, praise, or productivity. You weren't trying to be powerful. You just were. You didn't need permission to create, to feel, to know. Your connection to reality was immediate, vivid, raw. You were fully tuned into something most adults spend decades trying to reclaim. That version of you, the one with no filters, no programming, no fractured sense of self, is what we call the quantum child. Not the chronological child. The energetic essence you came into this world with. Unburdened, undiluted, fully tapped into infinite potential. Before your subconscious was coded by conditioning. Before your identity was boxed in by systems. Before should and can't became louder than instinct. You already knew. You already remembered. You already felt the field. So the real quantum leap is not becoming something new. It's unforgetting who you were before you were taught to forget. Step 1. Understand what the quantum child represents. This isn't about nostalgia. It's about original frequency. The quantum child holds innate imagination, embodied curiosity, emotional honesty, play without performance, trust in unseen connection. Before you could explain reality, you were immersed in it, not separate from it, not questioning your place in it. You didn't manifest through effort. You manifested through pure state. And then, the programming began. Step 2. Identify the moment you left yourself. At some point, your energy split. Not because you failed, because you adapted. Ask, when did I stop trusting my instincts? When did don't be too much start guiding my behavior? When did safety become more important than truth? The answer might be subtle. A scolding when you were loud. A betrayal when you were open. A moment you were punished for being different. These events coded your subconscious to trade freedom for approval. But those codes can be rewritten. Step 3. Connect with the quantum child within. This isn't inner child work for healing. It's activation. Sit in stillness. Picture the most unfiltered, wild, emotionally free version of yourself. What were they like? Curious without caution. Sensitive without shame. Expressive without performance. Ask that version, what did I stop doing that you remember? What do you want me to reclaim? You may feel grief. That's normal. It's not a signal to stop. It's the cost of reconnection. Step 4. Let the child lead in key areas. Let them choose how you play, how you create, how you relate, how you rest. Maybe you stop asking, is this useful? And start asking, does this feel like me? Maybe you color outside the lines again. Maybe you stop editing yourself mid-sentence. Maybe you let joy become the reason instead of the reward. This isn't regression. It's return. Step 5. Use the child's frequency to reshape reality. Here's the real shift. The quantum child doesn't manifest from scarcity. They don't strategize expansion. They imagine vividly, feel freely, express fully, and reality organizes around that signal. To activate this, visualize with no filter. Speak desires without shame. Let play precede planning. Let emotional honesty replace performance. In the field, this frequency is magnetic. It's pure. It's coherent. It tells the universe, I trust now. I remember now. I allow now. You don't need to become more powerful. You need to stop disowning the version of you that already is, because the quantum child still lives inside you. They never left. You just turned the volume down to survive. It's time to turn it back up, to stop apologizing for your wonder, to stop fearing your brightness, to stop editing the raw genius of your original signal. That signal still exists, right beneath the layers, and when you access it, you stop trying to manifest your reality. You simply play it into existence. Life is a frequency. How good are you at tuning the dial? You want change, more abundance, deeper love, better health, clearer purpose. So you study, you affirm, you visualize. But here's the core truth that most miss. Your outer world is not the cause of your inner state. It's the effect. Reality is not reacting to your goals. It's mirroring your frequency. And frequency is not just what you think. It's the emotional, energetic, subconscious state you inhabit consistently. So if the outside isn't shifting, it's not because your desire isn't clear enough. It's because your internal dial is still tuned to the old station. And until that dial moves, nothing changes, no matter how much you want it. This is the heart of reality tuning. Not forcing outcomes, not fixing flaws, not chasing results, but learning how to adjust your internal signal until the external field must respond. So how do you do it? Step 1. Identify the current broadcast. Start with brutal honesty. What's the reality around you telling you about your current internal state? Ask, what keeps repeating in my life, no matter what I say I want? What assumptions do I default to when I don't get what I want? What emotions dominate my subconscious in stillness? This isn't to judge. It's to reveal your current frequency, because you can only shift what you're willing to see clearly. Step 2. Define the desired frequency in specific terms. Don't just say, I want more abundance. Say, I want to feel relaxed while receiving. I want to trust that I'm supported without hypervigilance. I want to express without editing myself. Then ask, if this were already true, what would my thoughts, emotions, and behaviors look like? Now you're not just thinking of a new reality. You're describing a new internal signal. Step 3. Use emotional memory to shift the field. Here's the shortcut. Your subconscious responds to emotion, not logic. So instead of trying to believe your new reality into existence, feel it. Recall a time, any time when you felt completely free, deeply loved, fully alive, unshakably confident. Now amplify that feeling. Don't attach it to any outcome. Just tune your body into that state. You're not imagining a future. You're practicing the frequency of it now. This is how you condition your subconscious to accept the new timeline. Step 4. Collapse contradictory signals. Your field gets scrambled when you visualize abundance but feel anxious about money. You affirm worthiness but avoid being seen. You desire love but fear intimacy. This creates signal incoherence, and incoherence stalls reality shift. To clean the frequency, notice when you're acting from the old signal. Pause, breathe, ask, what frequency am I in right now? Then reset through movement, breath, or internal command. Even 5 seconds of clarity is more powerful than an hour of unconscious autopilot. Step 5. Build a new default through repetition. One high-vibe day won't do it. Tuning is about consistency. You don't expect a radio to keep playing your favorite station unless it stays tuned. Same here. Daily tune in through morning state setting, visual, somatic, emotional. Midday reality check. What am I broadcasting right now? Evening integration. Reinforce the new identity before sleep. It's not about perfection. It's about pattern dominance. Your subconscious shifts when the new signal becomes more familiar than the old. Final shift. Let the external catch up. Once the internal tuning is consistent, the external must follow. This is quantum law, but it's rarely instant. Why? Because the universe isn't late. It's reorganizing, clearing what no longer matches, aligning pieces behind the scenes, testing whether you're truly anchored in the new signal or just visiting. So your job is not to wait. It's to live as if the change has already occurred. That's what tunes the final lock. Your life is a mirror, cannot reflect what you haven't first broadcast. So stop begging the mirror to smile. Smile first, feel first, become first. Then reality has no choice but to reflect you accurately. Because you're not chasing a better life. You're tuning into it. Is your hidden self the missing key to your limitless self? You've done the vision boards. You've mastered the mantras. You've called in the light. But there's still a silence underneath the surface. A part of you don't fully understand. A weight you can't seem to bypass. Patterns that keep repeating. Despite all your work, this isn't failure. It's a signal that there's something beneath your light that needs to be met. Not feared, not fixed, faced. This is shadow. And until you face your shadow, you'll never fully activate your quantum power. Because what you suppress doesn't disappear. It multiplies, and what you deny cannot transform. It simply waits, controlling your life from the background. So here's the real truth. The key to expansion is not always more light. Sometimes it's more depth, more truth, more willingness to feel what you've avoided. Shadow work in the quantum field isn't about emotional indulgence. It's about energetic honesty. Because in a frequency-based universe, anything unintegrated is a distortion. And distortion blocks creation. Step 1, redefine the shadow. The shadow isn't bad. It's just unacknowledged. It's made of rejected emotions, forbidden desires, old shame, conditioned guilt, buried rage, unspoken fear. But here's what no one tells you. Your shadow also holds your power, your creativity, your boundaries, your raw, magnetic authenticity. You didn't bury garbage. You buried gold. Now it's time to retrieve it. Step 2. Spot the shadow in your reality loops. Look at your life. What patterns feel stuck? Ask, where do I keep hitting the same wall? What situations keep triggering the same reactions? Who or what do I judge most harshly in others? These are entry points, because what irritates or scares you outside often reflects what you've disowned inside. You're not being punished. You're being shown. Step 3. Meet the shadow without fixing it. Don't spiritualize it. Don't rationalize it. Don't instantly try to raise the vibe. Sit, feel, listen, say, I allow you. You're safe to be seen now. What do you need me to know? This opens the locked chamber in your subconscious. This restores energetic coherence. Because when every part of you is allowed to speak, your frequency becomes whole, and the quantum field responds to wholeness. Step 4. Give the shadow a role, not a throne. Shadow work isn't about letting your anger run your life. It's about letting your anger inform your life. It's not about letting shame run your story. It's about letting shame dissolve under awareness. You give the part of you that feels afraid a voice, but you let your conscious self drive the action. This restores power without suppression. Step 5. Extract the quantum fuel. Ask, what was I really protecting when I created this shadow? What strength was hidden in this pain? What would shift if I reintegrated this part with love? Then anchor the answer with action. If your shadow holds silenced expression, speak. If it holds frozen grief, feel. If it holds boundaries you've betrayed, enforce. Each time you act from integration, your field becomes more potent. Your reality becomes more responsive. Final realization. Shadow work is not a phase. It's a skill. You don't do it once and move on. You become someone who allows everything to be seen. And in doing so, you unlock a new timeline. One not limited by fear. One not edited for safety. One not diluted by half-truths. But one that radiates from your whole, integrated self. Light and shadow, truth and tenderness, chaos and calm. That's not weakness. That's mastery. Because when you can hold every part of yourself in awareness, you unlock the part of reality that was waiting for your full presence. And that part is infinite. Is your mind cluttered with noise that's distorting your quantum message? You've set the intention. You've visualized the result. You're holding the emotion, focusing on the outcome, and speaking the new reality into existence. But still, nothing moves. Or worse, things get murkier, slower, stuck. The issue isn't the quantum field. It's not a block in the universe. It's the static in your signal. You're transmitting conflicting messages. Your desire is clear, but your inner environment is noisy. And in quantum terms, the field can only reflect what it receives with coherence. If the signal is fragmented, so is the result. This is where thought hygiene comes in. Not toxic positivity, not mental control, but a deliberate process of cleaning your inner frequency, so the signal you send out is clean, sharp, and fully aligned. Because manifestation isn't about thinking more. It's about thinking clearer. Let's break it down. Step 1. Identify the thought static. Start here. What is running in the background of your mind, beneath the affirmations and goals? Look for chronic what-ifs, subtle catastrophizing, judgment of self or others, scarcity thinking, comparison, unconscious complaints. These aren't just thoughts. They are distortions in your energetic field. Each one emits a frequency that scrambles your desired signal. You may be trying to call in abundance, but if your mental static is full of fear and control, that's what the field will mirror. Not your wish, your dominant signal. Step 2. Practice mental interruption, not suppression. You don't need to stop your thoughts. You need to interrupt the ones that contradict your chosen reality. When a thought arises like, "This is never going to work. Why would they choose me? I'm too late." Pause. Then say to yourself, "That's not my signal anymore." Don't argue with it. Don't analyze it. Just drop it and return to your chosen frequency. This is not about controlling your mind. It's about leading it. Step 3. Install thought replacements based on frequency, not logic. Instead of arguing with the old belief, offer the nervous system a better feeling alternative. Old, "I don't know how this will happen." New, "It's already aligning behind the scenes." Old, "What if I fail?" New, "Every version of me brings new data to refine the outcome." Old, "I always mess this up." New, "That was then. This is a different frequency." You're not trying to believe something blindly. You're simply broadcasting a cleaner frequency. Step 4. Create a daily mental clearing practice. Just like your body, your mind needs hygiene. Each day, take 5 to 10 minutes to notice recurring mental loops. Acknowledge and release any thought that doesn't serve your current identity. Speak aloud the new dominant frequency you're choosing. This isn't optional. It's maintenance. Because your subconscious is like a room, it gathers dust. And thought hygiene is how you keep the space clean. Step 5. Monitor your inputs like their frequency codes. Your thoughts don't arise in a vacuum. They're shaped by what you consume, who you speak to, what you scroll, what you let echo in your awareness. Ask, does this reinforce my chosen frequency? Do I feel more open or more closed after this? Would the version of me I'm becoming choose this? This is how you clean your mind before distortion enters, not after it's already tangled up your field. Final shift. Make coherence your new normal. Coherence isn't perfection. It's alignment. Thought hygiene trains your mind to hold a single tone, long enough for the field to reflect it. When the signal is clean, the path becomes clearer. Synchronicities increase. Resistance decreases. Manifestation speeds up. Why? Because you're finally sending a message the universe can hear clearly. Not mixed, not hesitant, not layered with fear. Just a direct command. This is who I am now. This is what I receive now. This is the signal I will not abandon. Clean signal, clear shift, quantum response. What does life feel like when every moment is your creation? You've studied the mind. You've explored the subconscious. You've shifted energy, rewired beliefs, tuned into timelines. And now you stand at the edge of a question most people never dare to ask. What happens when you stop living from fate and start living as the quantum self? Not trying to change, not hoping to manifest, but knowing this reality bends to me now. The quantum self isn't a goal. It's not some higher version of you waiting on a mountaintop. It's the core identity that was always underneath the conditioning. The part of you that doesn't chase, beg, or wait. Chooses. It moves with coherence. It understands that time, circumstance, and limitation are all adjustable lenses, not absolutes. And here's the real shift. Living as the quantum self means the end of fate. Not because life becomes perfect, but because you stop treating your past, your wounds, or your patterns as truth. You recognize that your every choice is a frequency fork. A new timeline opened or closed by your alignment in the now. Let's anchor this into real, actionable reality. Step 1. Drop identity as memory. Claim identity as signal. Your quantum self is not shaped by your past. It's shaped by your current transmission. But most people say, I've always been this way. It's just who I am. I guess this is my karma, my fate, my pattern. No, that's the old story running by default. Ask, what signal am I sending right now? Does it match the self I claim to be? Am I creating, or just repeating? The quantum self creates consciously. That means you choose the frequency, then act from it even before proof shows up. Step 2. Shift from reaction to selection. In the old model, you react to life. In the quantum model, you select reality. It's not, how do I survive this situation? It's, what version of me handles this with clarity and power? It's not, why is this happening to me? It's, what's the timeline this energy wants me to align with? This shift sounds subtle, but it's everything. Because once you realize you are the selector, not the victim, you stop looping. And loops only exist when you believe you're not the one directing the frequency. Step 3. Normalize power, not just possibility. Most people only feel powerful in peak moments, rituals, breakthroughs, temporary highs. But your quantum self doesn't flicker. It's always on. So you must stop seeing power as a special state and start seeing it as your baseline. This means walking into rooms without shrinking, making decisions without waiting for permission, trusting your energy to reshape the field, even when nothing looks different yet. This doesn't come from ego. It comes from clarity. The quantum self doesn't shout. It doesn't push. It simply is, and the field rearranges. Step 4. Speak as the source, not the seeker. Language matters. Words are frequency codes, and your subconscious listens to every syllable. Stop saying, I hope this works. Maybe I'll get there. I'm trying to become. Start saying, this is how it is now. This is who I've chosen to be. Reality is updating to match my signal. Speak from completion, not distance. The quantum self doesn't declare outcomes as goals. It speaks them as current codes. And when the mind, the voice, and the body align, the field follows. Step 5. Let reality become feedback, not authority. When you live from fate, life happens to you. When you live from the quantum field, life happens through you. So when something doesn't show up, it's not rejection. It's feedback. You're not broadcasting the full signal yet. That's power. Because now you're not hoping for miracles. You're engineering them one internal shift at a time. No waiting, no blaming, no shrinking, just tuning, transmitting, receiving, again and again until the external matches the internal, because it has to. This is not a mindset trick. This is identity recalibration. The quantum self is not about becoming something you're not. It's about removing everything you never were. So ask yourself now, what frequency do I choose to live in, regardless of what the world says today? What do I normalize that others still wish for? What timeline am I sustaining, simply by being who I refuse to abandon? Because when you live from this place, you don't follow fate, you rewrite it. And the field, always watching, always responding, will bend accordingly. This isn't the end. It's the reset button. What world will you write next? You've gone deep. You've uncovered the silent programming beneath your thoughts. You've faced your shadow and reclaimed your power. You've tuned your signal, shaped your timeline, and remembered the self you were before the world told you who to be. And now there's only one question left. Are you ready to stop reacting to reality and start programming it, not with hope, not with effort, but with full-spectrum alignment, the kind that leaves no part of you in contradiction. Because the final quantum leap isn't just a shift in thought. It's a shift in authorship. You become the source of your world. You stop waiting for change. You build it. This is not a metaphor. It's mechanics. You've always been broadcasting signals into the field. Now you do it consciously, deliberately, as the architect of your own existence. And once you cross that line, there's no going back. Let's walk you through it. Step 1. Declare the closing of the old code. The subconscious needs clarity. If you're still entertaining old loops, outdated beliefs, or second-guessing your power, you're leaving back doors open. So speak it now. I release the identity that was built from fear. I close the frequency of survival. I am no longer aligned with limitation on any level. You can't create a new program while still running the old one in the background. Wipe the slate. Step 2. Design the new reality as a living code. Don't visualize outcomes. Visualize architecture. This means emotions you feel daily, thoughts that dominate your inner dialogue, people and energies you now normalize, environments you dwell in internally and externally. Ask, what does life feel like from my new identity? What do I now assume about myself and the world? What is so natural in this timeline that I no longer question it? You're not scripting wishes. You're installing defaults. Step 3. Install through repetition, emotion, and action. A code doesn't run because you write it once. It runs because it's executed repeatedly. This means daily emotional rehearsal, consistent, aligned microactions, internal dialogue that refuses to contradict the signal. And most importantly, it means behaving from the new timeline now, not later. Because the quantum field doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to who you are being. Step 4. Embrace the disruption phase. Here's what no one tells you. When you activate a new signal, the old reality will often resist. You may feel temporary confusion, emotional noise, energetic tests, relationship shifts. This isn't failure. This is the field reorganizing. The old matrix is collapsing. The new one is loading. Stay in signal. Step 5. Stop looking for evidence, be the evidence. You'll be tempted to watch, to track, to doubt, to wonder, is it working? But here's the final shift. You're not hoping the world changes. You are the world changing. So stop waiting for proof. Become it. Let your calm be the evidence. Let your clarity be the signal. Let your action, your energy, your presence carry the new code so completely that reality has no choice but to reflect it. The final quantum leap is not a destination. It's the full commitment to live from the new field every moment, even when nothing looks different. Because when you hold that signal, reality reshapes, people rearrange, resources appear, time bends, the impossible softens. Not because you forced anything, but because you became the version of you that no longer had to try. So here we are, not at the end, but at the portal. The reset button is in your hand. And the question isn't, can I create a new reality? You already are. The question is, will I keep choosing it when no one else sees it yet? Because once you do, reality won't just reflect your choices. It will bow to them. You're ready. Welcome to your quantum self. Welcome to the field that was always waiting for you to remember your power. Now go write your next world. And this time, do it with your eyes open,